All right, welcome back, folks. Gfinity Spring Masters number 2. Number 1. I've already skipped to May. Holy crap. I'm so excited about this match.
I wish we never thawed you out of the cryogenic chamber.
Whatever. I'm trying to figure out what camera. Anyway, so they're in the process right now of doing the vetoes and the picks. So those are going to come to us hot while we're live. Live television, great stuff. But put you on the spot.
Okay.
In Poland, they played Dust 2 and Cash.
Yeah.
Obviously, NiP won both of those. What do you think it's going to be?
Well, historically, we have a precedent between these two teams. They've always played Dust 2. That's been played 3 times when they played it at MLG Final, DreamHack Winter Final, and now here as well in Poland. Then coming to this, in the past, the second map in both of those 2 finals, the DreamHack Winter Final and MLG, was always Inferno. Both times, LDLC and now Envy won Dust 2. Both times, NiP won Inferno. And then obviously, they had Cash was the second map in Poland. So if I had to guess, from the trend there, it seems like it's NiP that's moved away from Inferno. They don't want any part of Inferno at the moment. Maybe it could be the third map. So I would think the same maps again. I think it'll be Dust 2 and Cash.
Dust 2
I
and
think
Cash.
it makes sense in terms of, like, the guys from NiP don't mind playing Dust 2, it seems. I think the Envy guys are more than happy to play Cash. I would guess the same first 2 maps. Now, if it's the third map, remember, we don't have the random draw that they had in those 2 tournaments. So I'd actually guess, deciding between them, that they'll plump for something like Inferno, I think, for the third.
And again, like, that would be the ultimate rematch of what happened last week.
Yeah.
See if Envyus can fix whatever went wrong for them.
And
in
luckily,
Poland.
they always say about a rivalry, a true rivalry, you have to have beaten each other. It can't be one side always getting the win. So in the DreamHack and the MLG finals, yeah, it was close. It was 3 maps every time. It was very close, but Envy always got the better of them. Last time, NiP clean swept them 2-0 very impressively. So now it's actually Envy who need to respond, you know, and really show something in this match.
Your thoughts?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, you know, agree with Duncan about the map picks that I think we're likely to see. I think we'll definitely see Cash from NiP. I mean, they love that map, you know. They absolutely want to play teams on it, it seems, and they're going to nail it to the wall. I don't know what we'll see for a third one. I mean, I'm just hoping that Envyus actually wake up, because this.
Yeah.
Is that why the veto?
Maybe that's why. Yeah, they were sleeping. They were snoozing.
But you know, I think as well, this is a team now where they're very close in terms of ability, and Envyus. It's really weird. I don't get why Envyus are having a crisis in confidence. You know, it's very contrasting fortunes. Like, for a while, this Envyus team were considered, you know, #1 back when they were LDLC, and they seem to think internally, you know, we've got problems with the stuff we need to iron out. You know, we're not 100% confident in our play. Now, contrast that with NiP, that have just come, you know, from a final where they had a pretty disappointing performance against Fnatic after making it to the final of a major. They've come to this event and they're just like, that's not good enough. We're going to change it here, and we absolutely will change it here. We know what went wrong. We've already got a game plan in place. We're going to step it up. And they're like, if we don't win this event, we're going to be ashamed, you know. So it's almost like NiP have kind of already convinced themselves that they're going to win. Envyus really having a crisis of confidence, and I don't quite understand where that's coming from. So it's going to be very interesting, because I think this is like almost the fact they're playing each other in the group, and as Duncan says, a potential final. The thing that I honestly expect will be the final of this tournament. It could really put Envyus on tilt if they don't put in a good show in here, because, you know, they seem to be going through almost like a transitional period in terms of what they're talking about, how they want things to work within the team. So very interesting. I mean, this is, again, this is an important game. I know it's a group stage game, but this series is hugely important in the context of how both of these teams are going to go on and do for the rest of the event.
And, you know, we haven't talked about it, and I'm not pressuring you guys for, like, predictions every game, but one of these teams you guys think is going to win this whole thing?
Well, these are the number 2 and number 2 and number 3 teams in the world, and the number 1 team isn't here. So these are the 2 best teams available, and I would say actually, if one of them wins this tournament, that would probably decide that ranking. Like, I have NiP number 3 at the moment. I would probably jump them to number 2 if they won this tournament. Meanwhile, Envyus, they're living on past results. The DreamHack Winter one, that's getting a bit further back. That's like 4 months back now. MLG's still a bit fresh in our minds, but with Katowice happening, with NiP winning there, this would be the edge to tip it to NiP's favor. So, to me, if Fnatic's not in the building, this is the best matchup you can have in CS right now.
Okay, and again, we apologize, we don't know the maps yet, but like, for each team, who's got to be on fire? Like, what's the keys to victory, if you will? I know it's harder when you don't know the map, but
all right.
you know, what do they got to do?
For me, when I've seen, the way the dynamic always played out when these two teams played before was that NiP would win these magical rounds where they were the underdog, but somehow they'd win every 2v2, every one-on-one. Somehow they're like the clutch rounds, the really important ones, they'd get this amazing round win, and that's what would keep them in games and win them maps. Meanwhile, the Envy guys, they would win games and beat NiP by just winning the rounds where you just destroy them completely, like you 5-0 team ace them, or you just like put up a brick wall on CT side, they can't get into the site at all. So there was a really obvious dynamic there. But now what's interesting is in Poland, it was NiP who did that to Envyus. Suddenly, NiP just ran over them completely, and there was no game almost. So the real dynamic I'm looking for there is I feel like if you're going to have those clean sweep rounds for Envy, it has to be Shox on T side. He has to have his amazing, because if he entry frags, he can be the best entry fragger in the world. He has the most insane skills. So when he has his entry fragging game on like that, that's when the team who were the best in the world at one point. You know,
I mean, this is where it gets interesting, because NiP have got, for me, hands down, you know, two of the absolute all-time greats, and not all-time greats as in we're talking about things that they did years ago, like we are with some of the players when we use that label. I'm talking about stuff they did like last week. You know, they're doing it all the time. You know, guys like Forrest and Get-Right for me has just been, you know, imperious. I think I disagreed with Vendetta's point yesterday, actually, where he said he didn't feel he had a particularly good time in the group stage. I mean, Get-Right's always going to turn up in the games where it matters. You can rely on him. Forrest, you know, it was a bit of an exception in the final. I think that he didn't kind of have a good performance, but in general, they're the guys that when it's crunch time, they turn up and they absolutely perform. Now, how you meet them head to head, I think the key for getting Envyus ticking, definitely Shox with the entry pick in, that's absolutely right. But I think Happy is hugely important to how Envyus work as a team. This is somebody that, you know, he reads the game incredibly well. He makes calls on the fly. He changes strats. And unlike a lot of team leaders, he is capable of fragging when he absolutely needs to step it up. And we've seen that time and time again. You know, I witnessed it firsthand, I think, when we were doing the Frag Bite Masters as well. So I think if he can actually find that level where he can read the game, he can break down NiP's tactics very well, and he can deploy the people that he needs to. You know, he can send Shox to the sites where he knows they're going to get picks, and then they can push and swarm all over them. So I think it's going to be a very interesting matchup. It's going to be perhaps a bit more tactical than some of the games we'll see here that are going to be a bit more frag dependent, which is strange because these two teams obviously have, you know, very comprehensive fraggers within it. So I think it's going to be a close matchup. I mean, like, getting on to predictions, you know, I gotta go with NiP, I think, to win,
regardless of maps.
Regardless,
we don't know where.
Okay. Yeah, but regardless of the maps, I think just in terms of form, you know, until the maps turn up, obviously, you know, we can't talk too much about it. The specifics, I think it'll be a great series, but I just feel like NiP are in a much better place mentally. I think they've just had a final out in, you know, Poland. I think NiP are going to be looking at this game.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
We're going to make a statement of intent. So
bring it to me, baby.
Go on, get on.
Bring it to me, baby. Okay, I'll give it to him.
Do you want me to pass around here?
Yeah, I do.
Have a glance first.
You can do it. You can talk about it.
No, go on. It's funny. It's actually interesting.
It's an interesting. So we have to figure out there. Okay, so map 1 is Inferno.
Yep.
And that was picked by Envyus. And Dust 2 is NiP choice. Third map is Cash. Okay. So again, you called it. Different order. But those are the maps.
Yeah, we got the 3 maps you expected.
Just so we know the vetoes. Envyus got rid of Nuke. NiP got Emirage, and NiP got rid of Overpass and Cobble.
So here's what's interesting, Scott. In theory, Envyus, you remember there used to be a big thing online where I always would say Envyus think they're the best team in the world in Inferno, but they're not, because they would keep losing these key games. And Happy would even say, like, every time they'd win a big match, he'd be like, Thorin, I told you we had the best on Inferno.
Just like that, right?
Exactly like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought
he was in the room
for a point at the time there, yeah.
Jesus.
So anyway, but the last 2 times they played NiP in those 2 finals, that was the map they lost, was Inferno. But they've gone back to it now. Now they listen, if they lose this series, they can only blame themselves. They're going to the map that they've lost to NiP to twice. Admittedly, when they had Makalele, that wasn't when they had Alu now. So I think it's the right choice. I think it's a map that they should, on paper, still be better than NiP on. But Is it because they feel confidence in their own game? Is it because NiP's gone away from Inferno? Because NiP played Inferno against not only Fnatic in the final, a close loss, but they played against TSM in the second map of the round of 8 in Poland and got utterly smashed on it. So I feel like that's the thinking in the Envy camp. Is like, okay, it was a strength of ours, but we know at the moment maybe it's weak with the Alu lineup. Maybe that's the key that's changed what it was like, because Makalele used to be pretty good at picking on that map. So I feel like that might be the decider there.
Because they lost to Fnatic on Inferno.
Okay, let me ask Richard first. Do you want to change your prediction?
No, I still absolutely feel that NiP will take this 2-0.
So, 2-0? Okay, great. Because with those maps, Inferno, Dust 2, those, for me, are the two best maps for Envy. So I'm going to go...
I agree with you.
I'm going to go Envy 2-0.
Put it this way, right? NiP, it's interesting that Dust 2's come up at all, because every time you talk to NiP, they're like, we can't play Dust 2. They absolutely don't want to... They'll do all they can to avoid playing that map. They put in a lot of work on trying to get better at it, but actually, they don't like to play top teams on it. So I'm very surprised that that's there. But even with that said, I don't know, there's just something in the way that Envy seem to be approaching the tournament currently at the moment in terms of mentality. Like the great teams can always overcome the great teams when they play them. That's what defines you as a great team. Okay. If you give them too much respect, you're going to get caught out. And I think Envious are almost a little bit like, they seem a bit antsy, a bit nervous about going into this game. I think NiP, on the other hand, they don't really have that much, what's the word? Like, they're not afraid of any of the any of the teams here. So I think that map. I mean, you're right. Inferno is going to be the deciding factor in it. I think because NiP haven't had some. It's not like a sterling solid map for them, and it is the opener. But I think if NiP win that, I think 2-0 is a good shout, in my opinion.
And again, looking at the Poland results, if I'm reading this right, these 3 maps between the 2 teams are the only 3 maps either team lost on in Poland. Obviously, like you said, TSM destroyed NiP. So that's kind of interesting. And obviously, we only have 7 maps, so obviously it gets played a lot. You're going to win or lose it, right?
Yeah. Here's another factor as well that's interesting, is that NiP have repeatedly done this trend where when they play Envious or Fnatic, they tend to somehow map pick so that it always goes to the favorable maps of the opponent. I don't know why. I don't know what it is. Somehow they always seem to give the opponent like 2 of his 3 best maps, or sometimes all 3 of the best maps. But NiP's also sometimes won some of those series. Like they beat Fnatic at MLG on Fnatic's 3 best maps. So I'm not saying that NiP can't do it. NiP's an incredible team and they have this magic about it. But I'll always bet, Scott, on cold, hard results over magic.
Yep. Yeah, you're never...
So I'm going to go with 2-0 Envy.
You're throwing it out.
And Richard's going 2-0 NiP, so...
I like it. You guys want to just put some money on it?
Let the war begin now.
Can we do that? Think of the kids, Scott. Think of the children.
Can I see some ID?
Yeah, we're going to have to. I mean, I totally get what you're saying there, man. I hope it's... I almost hope you're right in a way, because I want Envious to get back in the mix. I really do. I think there's a team. I love them. I've known Shocks a long time. I agree with you. I think on his day, he's as good as anybody that's ever played the game. A fantastic, rifle, a fantastic entry picker. But I don't know. They're not firing on all cylinders yet. The Envious era hasn't really got kick-started for me, and they're coming up against a NiP that just seems so resolute in that, they've already made up their mind that we're going to win this tournament.
I also think a key factor as well is when I see Envious sometimes lose and not play up to the level, I look at their players, I'm like, this should be the best team in the world, When that doesn't happen, it tends to be against like a Fnatic. That's the sort of team. So I feel like against Fnatic, maybe they do have the mental block, maybe they get intimidated. But actually in general, I thought when they lost to NiP in Poland, they just got outclassed. It wasn't that they were intimidated and they all broke apart like that. I think they just got outclassed. Happy played terribly. Yeah. The maps that were their choices went against them, So I feel like they have confidence against NiP. I don't feel like they think NiP have better players than us or should beat us. So that's why I think it should be a competitive series.
But that's why I was highlighting Happy as the one. Obviously you can make all the puns and all the jokes about his name as much as you want. But the point is, because he's the caller, if he starts playing bad and he starts not making the kills and the wheels come off, you can see him get more and more introverted. He almost physically shrinks. He's a diminutive character to begin with. Even you can push him around, I think, Scoots.
I might be taller than him,
but he starts to go within himself. And of course, if your caller does that, if your caller takes his eye off the ball and starts getting affected by things that are happening in game, then that does filter through the rest of the team. And that's why I think he's so important. He has to be, no matter what's happening to him on the scoreboard, he's got to be communicating and reading the game, because he reads it as well as anybody. Yeah. And that's why for me he's going to be hugely important in dictating how Envious go in this tournament. And I agree with what you're saying. I think when they come up against big teams, there does seem to be a little bit of a mental block. You know, not TSM levels.
No.
Not TSM levels, but it's there.
Well, no, what's interesting about what you're saying there is that that's actually one of the rare qualities that happened in Poland that we've never seen before. It's not that they lost and that they lost the semi-final. These things have all happened before. But the whole kind of title that people gave to Happy was like, oh, he's the player where even when his team does badly, you know, like when they'd gotten smashed by Fnatic, he always was top fragging. So that's why everyone kind of called him the best fragging in-game leader, because it's like, okay, he'll get his kills no matter what. Well, in the series against NiP, he was terrible. Yeah. He had real problems, and the team was struggling overall, but he couldn't even get his individual game going. So it is true, if the guy who's your leader is totally off his game in that particular sense, listen, ordinary in-game leaders, that's their everyday reality. They know I'm not getting my kills, so my job is make the best out of the other players. But unfortunately, his style is more based on like have my game going, then get other people going, you know, like figure it out like that.
Back to the maps, just briefly, you know, some tournaments, team that picks a map, other team picks a side. This one is not like that. Doesn't matter who picked it. They still knife round for sides. Doesn't really matter on these three maps. These two teams who start
interesting about the history of these two teams on these maps. Okay, so Inferno, we both know that's a super CT-sided map, and especially in that meta when Fnatic and Envy, well, they were LDLC at the time, were dominating. It was by getting the 12 CT rounds. But Dust 2, interestingly, okay, this is a map where people can get a lot of CT rounds, but the two times they played in those two finals had almost identical storylines. What happened was LDLC at the time, now Envy, started on CT side first. They only got 6 rounds. So you think, well, that's terrible. Both times, they got 10 rounds on T side and won 16-10, 16-9 or something. Like, it was 16-10, 16-11, I think. So let's see if that trend continues. Like, will their T side be where they completely dominate? I mean, that's one of the areas where they're the most scary, actually. On T side, their style of playing, how good their players are, they can get entries anywhere on the map.
Going to totally shift for a second as we're still waiting for teams to set up and all that. But we're talking about maps. Okay. Valve yesterday.
This was announced while we were having our issues.
That out of the active map pool goes Nuke. Yeah. Into the active map pool comes the new train. Thoughts on that?
Well, I'll chip in first while Duncan looks very thoughtful there. I mean, for me, I think it's a huge shame to lose Nuke overall, but not in its current state. You know, I think we've seen that. And it was interesting because I had a conversation with Vendetta about it, and I don't know if you overheard it, but Vendetta actually said, as far as he's concerned, teams just need to get better tactics on T and practice the map, and that's the only reason it's become so CT-sided that people are running.
Everyone's just avoiding it, not playing it.
People are just running the same strats, trying to avoid it, hoping it's going to go away, and just hoping you get CT first if Nuke does come up or whatever. And we've seen all these 13-2s and 14-1s, and it has got to the stage where actually Nuke was entering into the same territory as Aztec, Cobble, but the old original Cobble, where it was just if you got 3 rounds as T, you were in a position to win. It was golden, right? Yep. So I hope that it's being taken away with the view to rebalance it, because Nuke is a classic map. I don't want to see Nuke out of the map rotation. I'm sure Valve don't. Anyone who's been around Counter-Strike a long time, that is a staple go-to map. Absolutely. Some of the greatest games and greatest series in Counter-Strike history have involved Nuke. I'm very interested to see Train come back, though, because that was a map that it got pushed out in Source because actually nobody wanted to broadcast it because it was dark, it was murky, there was clipping issues, it was it was quite a buggy and glitchy map. So it kind of just got pushed out. Nobody really wanted it. But actually, it's a map, again, think back to some classic 1.6 series. Train was
definitely an amazing map.
So I'm really looking forward to seeing that come back in, and I just hope Nuke can fit back in alongside it at some point, and hopefully Train is.
Yeah, because they fixed there's a new version of Train. I don't know if you guys have a chance to play it, and it's much better than the first CS:GO version. Is it still perfect? No, I think the outer bomb site still a little wacky. Inner is much more like the 1.6 Inner now, which is great. And like you said, I think it was definitely one of my favorite 1.6 maps to watch.
I'm hoping that the professional players can embrace it a little bit more, because every time a new map comes in, we always go through the same debate where pro players say they shouldn't be in a competitive map pool and they reject it, and because of Valve's omnipresence and everyone wanting to kind of be in that circle, they're like, well, it's going to be at tournaments, guys. It's not even up for debate.
And that's why they're active doing it, so they force play to then tweak it even more.
So
right?
I'm hoping that they embrace it rather than just going through a phase that they did with some of the other maps, just trying to veto it out. We don't want to play it, And I think it's going to be good to see Train back, but
Nuke needs to. I mean,
Nuke needs to.
I got no problem with 8 maps in the pool. So Nuke needs to come back.
I think I have a totally different perspective on this because I
thought you might.
That's good. It's about time we all don't agree on something.
I hate the way this debate is framed as being about balance, right?
Okay.
The way you balance CS is by having maps which favor terrorist, maps which favor CT, maps which are in the middle, and you make a balanced map pool so that all styles can work.
Okay.
But that requires that some maps be very CT-sided. You don't want every map to be where every single time it's 8-7 to either side, Okay. That would actually be imbalance. Like that would mean that like it doesn't matter who's even the better team. I'll tell you the teams who don't like to play Nuke. Teams who are bad on CT side. Now CT side's the dominant one, right?
Sure.
The reason why teams that are bad on it don't like that map and say it's a bad map is because what happens is they can't get very many T side rounds. That's incredibly hard. Then they can't even hold on the CT side. Teams that are really good on CT side and have a few good T rounds, that's an amazing map for them. And so as a result, if you play that team, you know they're going to get that on CT, and then you can't stop them when they're on the T side. The reason why we need really CT-sided maps, as a couple of the maps in the pool, is because that then allows someone who's a really great CT team to show dominance in that particular fashion. And then if someone gets 5 rounds on T-side, that's amazing. You know the context is that that's actually that's very, very hard. It's not actually, it's kind of for the birds, this idea that every map should be 8-7. That's like the people in StarCraft who think that like every map has to have an equal win rate between the races. No, you just have to have enough maps in the pool.
In the pool, exactly.
Each race has a chance.
And I agree with everything you're saying there. I don't think the 2 points we're making are necessarily mutually exclusive. But I think when a map does get to the stage where it's like I say, you're always seeing a 13-2 or a 14-1, you've got to think about it not just from a competitive perspective, but also like spectating perspective. Who wants to watch that? I mean, seriously, it's awful.
I like to watch teams who are really good doing what they're really good at.
And I know, this is what I'm talking about. You're a purist. You've seen you make the same kind of arguments in other games that you've studied. But for me, I think, you need to retweak it. There has to be an element there where, there can be a 10-5. There can be a 10-5. I don't think currently that's there at the moment with Nuke in its current form. And maybe that is because of the teams a little bit and the players a little bit. But ultimately, that map... for me, it does need a slight revision. There's things you can do with it. There's tweaks you can make that's going to make it more viable competitively. The
bigger problem to me is the idea that you have to take the map out and replace it, because that map has things in it specifically that are only in the CSGO version that make it even more CT-sided. Like in this world that we're in CSGO, we've actually managed to create a nuke that is more CT-sided than 1.6. And to me, it was the most 1.6 because getting T-rounds was so hard. So we added features like, as a CT, you can run through the vents. Before, you had to slowly climb down a ladder and move through a vent slowly. So as a result, if I take the lower site, at least I have like time to plant the bomb, time to get in position. Now they can just run straight down and come through. Same as the secret area, allows terrorists down. That would, in 1.6, would be totally broken. That would make it not a T-sided map, but it'd give you lots more T-rounds. That hasn't really fixed anything. Then you add in that at the moment we've got all these problems where so many of the weapons favor you on CT side and help you a lot. So I think it's the game that has the problems, not the map. I love the design of the map. I would rather tweak certain things on the map. In fact, that's the approach I think if I was Valve I would take, is have these maps and have like a version that pros test out and give you feedback on. And the idea is you don't do these things that they do now. They either do a radical buff, radical nerf, and then leave it like that for 6 months. No, tweak it.
Tweak it a little bit.
Tweak it a little bit. Let's see where that goes. And then we'll know if it's kind of like cold reading. Like, are we going in the right direction here? Okay, that seems to be making sense. Eventually we'll get to a good place from that gradual testing. But at the moment they tend to go extremes.
And your thought process is very similar to Lurpus's, because he's of the he's of the mindset that doesn't matter what side you start on, you have to play the other side. And that's what balances it out.
It's not like we're saying that certain teams can just never win this map. It's that certain teams can't win enough on the T side. They still have their chance on the CT side. It's equal in that sense. It's balanced. It's directly balanced. You both have an equal chance on each side, etc. The problem here is that, it's the idea that every map should be an 8-7 map, which is a lot of that comes from newer people who haven't played the game very long, and they're thinking of like League of Legends type balancing.
But don't we see that? They always see that in a lot of games.
But it's different in CS. We don't really have that. It's not really that sort of imbalance.
That is a very good point to make. I think a lot of people don't realize there's inherent balances or checks and balances in the game. Like for example, if a T side is harder, that's why they've got the AK with the instant headshot. The guns themselves are in a balance. The economy is in itself in a balance, and when the curveballs come in is when a gun suddenly becomes ridiculously overpowered like the Tech 9 currently at the moment.
I'll give you an
It's easy
example,
before
okay?
it.
Here's a historical example in 1.6 of how balance existed. So in 1.6, anyone who plays it now will try the Glock and they'll go, this is a terrible gun. It's so weak, I can't kill someone. Meanwhile, the USP is amazing. The key thing is the USP is accurate when you're stood still. The Glock isn't accurate, isn't very powerful, but you can move while firing it, and it tags you and keeps you stuck down. So what happened was, essentially, you've created a dynamic where we both understand there, I'm going to be at my best if I'm sat still and I'm just firing for your head, but you're going to get around that by making my shot harder by moving, but that's where your gun's at the advantage. So the balance overall, it's not equal like that, but it comes from a different angle, and eventually you end in a balanced place where the better player will win.
Yeah, and this was the thing with the rifles, the M4, it works better in a tight space, better recoil control. Well, if you're coming through a choke point and you're defensive, that's what you want. You want to spray down multiple opponents at once. There are, like you say, inherent checks and balances within the game, and I agree. I don't want to see 8-7 every half. I don't want to see that. Perpetual overtimes. From now until the end of a tournament. If it happens
too often, then it loses all its excitement.
There has to be some nuance to the game, but I think, like I say, for me, Nuke just has gone a little bit too far, and it's gotten to those maps that become unfun to play, and that's something to consider for the pros. They have to at least enjoy engaging with a map experience. There's got to be that will to play it there, not just a deflated size shit. We got to go on a Nuke, right? So there's that, but also as well, it's got to be vaguely fun to watch. It's got to have a little bit of everything, and I think Nuke, like I said, it's gone to that dark place. The cobbles, what was it called? Not the cobbles, the Aztecs and
sure.
What's it called? I can't believe the one the French always bloody used to play with the tunnel and used to boost up into it and whatever. No one played it, but the point, Prodigy. There you go.
Geez, you're going way back. Okay,
There was a horrific, unfun, one-sided map.
That was.
So this is what I mean. Like, I don't want to see Nuke get to that place where it just literally rots away in the annals of CS history, and 5 years from now, people are saying, "Hey, do you remember Nuke?" Like in the same way we're laughing about Prodigy right now. It needs to be rejigged and brought back in.
So you'd rather have it just stay and add train, and you'd rather have it go away a little bit, get fixed, come back, and join the pool.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're talking about balance issues. The hot button.
Also, let me just put this in as well. I also don't want to take out Nuke if you're going to keep Cobblestone. There's the thing. What's the choice there?
You've always had it in for Cobblestone.
Yeah, but Cobble's getting better. It is getting better. So, we're seeing better Counter-Strike on Cobblestone these days.
And like I said, when I was talking about balancing the map pool, I don't know how it will play in CSGO, but the answer to that in 1.6, the answer to having a world where you had Nuke and you had Train, these super CT-sided map, was Tuscan. Tuscan was super T-sided. So I don't know if it's ever going to come out. I think it's going to be like a free addition to Half-Life 3 or something. But and the replay system from League of Legends. So
exactly.
But if it ever comes out, we haven't got a T-sided map at the moment, but maybe that could be it, because the layout of that map did favor terrorists. And so add that in, and it adds some balance to a Train, because that's the thing to bring up as well. We haven't seen how the new Train plays out, but the funny thing about this debate here is that Train and Nuke were the exact same thing. They were just CTs sitting prone with a Colt spraying people running out of a choke. Both maps were the same exact thing. Now, there was nuance to that. There was extra aspects of how you team played it, which allowed you to get the 14 rounds where you might only get 12 instead. But it's not like Train was some T-sided map that had a lot of play on both sides. So I want to see how the new rejig works. That's also why I'm not as sold yet, because I want to see, okay, show me that it's not the same thing yet. Okay, we have to try it out to find out, but I'm not sure that will balance the map pool on its own, but we'll see.
Yeah, that is a good point.
Okay, so map balance, and now let's switch to weapon balance. You were talking a little bit about weapons, but let's talk about...
Well, I've got a point to make up on what he said before, actually. When I kind of gave that example in 1.6 of how the Glock, the reason why it's balanced is because, yes, you can fire while moving, but it's not very accurate. It doesn't do much damage, but it can tag. So the idea is then we have to use multiple people, because if I'm tagging you and then he gets an easier shot, that's how I can kill you, okay? So that has inherent balance. It's not overpowered. The problem with the Tech 9, you can't really aim it very well. How did you know I was
going to the Tech 9? How did you know we were going there?
I've got that synergy. So the thing with the Tech 9 that makes it imbalanced is that you have all these bullets so you can spam, and it's very powerful. It can headshot you and kill you, and you use it while moving. So add all of those together, and where's the imbalance? Where's the counterplay there?
It's a bigger terror than the CZ was, because there were inherent flaws to the CZ, the lack of ammo, that kind of thing. Tech 9 is like, it is ridiculous. In fact, I would go so far as to say it's as imbalanced now currently in the game as the Deagle was in Source, where we used to see deco, rounds. You would have a buy, just buy Deagles, win a Deagle round, round, and then they would buy deagles, they'd win a round, and you would get stuck into this. It would just be who broke first. The deagle was ridiculously overpowered in Source for the longest time. People used to say, "Oh, it makes the eco rounds exciting." I don't think eco rounds are meant to be exciting. The whole point is that it's a momentum-based game, and you've won that round, and you get the advantage.
Yeah.
There shouldn't be some all singing, all dancing pistol you can just pick up. That's as good as a gun. It doesn't make sense within the context of Counter-Strike.
But don't we get into some sort of, and I agree, but don't we get into some sort of like, because if you're a fan watching and that team wins their eco, so to speak, or forced buy or half buy, whatever you want to call it, whatever they've done against full guns, that is exciting, isn't it? Or if it happens too often, does it lose its like cachet of doing it in the first place?
It's exciting, but I mean, I think the thing is, and I made this point yesterday, and I don't think it's mutually exclusive. Obviously, everyone has access to the current guns.
Yes.
And I know some teams are like, well, like the Tech-9's going to get nerfed, and then when Fnatic won, everyone was like, oh, well, he's had more kills with the Tech-9 than he did with the rifle. It's disgusting, and I don't agree with that. I think you use the tools that are at your disposal to win tournaments, to win games. But that said, it's a Tech-9 round. What's going to happen on an eco? You've got all these guns in the game. They should be situational, and they're not. It's never been situational. There is an optimal amount of games, and this did happen in 1.6, where there was never a reason to buy a shotgun in 1.6. It never happened. There was never a reason to buy a P90. There was never a reason to get a pistol over another pistol. You had the Glock for the reasons Duncan highlighted. You had a USP for the reasons highlighted. So why is the Tech-9? It's not so much that you need to necessarily nerf that gun, although you do need to nerf that gun.
Yeah.
But you need to bring about situational benefits for the other guns in the gun pool, and that hasn't been there yet, and that's for the pistols specifically. I mean, they need to change that.
And I always use the example of back in the day, Complexity in 1.6 and their deagle play. It was an expensive spend to go for it, but they were one of the few teams that had a really good chance of winning that round, and that would turn games around. But not everybody could do it. If everyone can do it, then it kind of loses its thing. So, but if they mess with the Tech-9 like they did kind of the CZ, won't people just kind of jump back to the CZ again?
Well, the problem
it is still powerful.
The problem is when they brought in this Tech-9, this added thing here,
the Rec-9,
they inadvertently reverted some of the nerfs to the CZ. So listen, I use the CZ when I play. I don't use the Tech-9.
Okay.
The CZ is still very powerful.
Absolutely.
Essentially the only nerf it got now, once they reverted some of them, is when you bring it out, the animation takes longer.
A little longer to
all
pull
the other
out,
stuff's still there. It's still a very, very good weapon. It's true. If you nerf that, people would still use it. I think both guns have to be addressed.
Okay.
At the moment, one of the big problems is we live in a world where a Colt headshot does not kill you, but there are something like 4 pistols that a headshot kills you even with head armor. Well, the pistol costs 500, 300, whatever it costs. The problem, kind of what he referenced there, I think that does highlight a problem with the Tech-9, that in the final of ESL 1 Katowice, they had this stat before the final began that said in the tournament, Olofmeister had 26 AK kills and 24 Tech-9 kills. Notice he didn't say rifle kills. Well, I mean, this is T-side anyway.
Sure.
But he had more, essentially, a guy who at the time was playing the best CS on the best team, which had only lost 1 map, was playing the majority of their buy rounds, had more kills with the pistol you buy when you don't have a rifle. That is such an extreme stat that doesn't tell you the story, but it's certainly heading towards there must be something wrong there.
It's Exhibit A in a attack on
basically
why
it's
it needs to be nerfed.
A guy has been found with blood all over his hands. He's a dead body. I think we might consider him a murder suspect at that point in time.
Maybe.
So the Tech-9 is at very least should be taken to trial.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think I mean that's a very good point that I haven't even picked on. There are all of these pistols that do these headshot kills, and there's always going to be one that you're perhaps going to favour over others, and players going to have personal preference. But I say when everyone on a pistol round is 5 Tech-9s, because they know that whenever you get into that situation, that's not a good place for the meta game. And to answer the question that sparked all this, isn't it exciting for the fans? Well, it's always exciting for the fans when your team has got a chance of winning anyway. That's the nature of the game. But I mean, for the neutral that wants to see it, I don't think so. I think it's another.
Well, it's like you said, you should be rewarded for winning that pistol or the gun round.
It's a momentum-based game. That's at the core of what the game is about. That you get rewarded for winning rounds, and that snowballs, and then it becomes a harder effort to overturn.
And the money system is built around this, right? So it almost breaks the inherent money system of when you get rewarded for when you lose, when you win, how you break money. So again, big stuff to be addressed. Again, Map balance, gun balance. It's always going to be a debate.
I know Valve are aware of it, and like I don't want to come out and beat the.
I'm cutting you off, bro.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're done. We've talked about this. Yeah, I'm getting the queue. The casters are ready. So again, just final 2-0 NiP. No, 2-0 Envyus, 2-0 NiP.
2-0 NiP. Where are you going?
I am the neutral host. I just want good Counter-Strike. I'm going to say 2-1. He's maybe doing it.
He knows that Europe wins anyway, so to him it doesn't matter which side of it comes out.
I'm going to say 2-1 Envyus.
Oh man, I'm going to be so smug.
Oh, okay? We'll see. That being said, again, we're getting ready to rock and roll. Main stage. This time we got our boys Semler and Vendetta bringing you the action. We'll be back after the first map.
For a second there, I thought he said that we'd be back after a short break, and I was like, "Oh, you know, okay, that's all right. Yeah, that's fine."
The fear started to set in.
We're all right, guys.
Yeah, exactly.
We're all right. No break. We did have just a little bit of an issue with the PC, but that's been sorted out now. So Happy should be back in the game, and we should be able to get it underway. First map, though, Ben. First map.
It's going to be good. It's going to be good. I mean, it's same maps as we saw at Katowice, but you know, with a bit different turn, really. I mean, instead of Inferno as the third map, Envy has actually gone ahead and chosen it as their map choice or map pick, and that is actually a tiny bit surprising to me because I thought during Katowice they didn't play their A game versus NiP on cash.
Far from it.
Exactly. So I wouldn't have been too surprised to see them actually pick up cash once again, just to show the NiP that we still know how to play cash properly, and this is still our map. Inferno, bit of more of a toss-up. I mean, they talked about it, at the desk, and NiP, even though they not necessarily seem to be favored going into a map like Inferno versus, let's say, Fnatic or Envyus, I mean, they still win. And that's just what NiP does. And, I mean, Rich was kind of left alone with the 2-0 prediction here.
Are we going to turn the tide? I mean, are we going to be the ones?
I'm considering it. I'm going to go with 2-1, but I'm going to go with NiP coming out victorious here. Simply because, I mean, partly, not to leave Rich completely alone.
Well, there's a reason I'm not wearing the red, white, and blue today. That's. I had to put it on the side because of what I'm about to say, right? I think that NiP are going to win it as well. Because I don't think that Envy, it's not a game sense, it's not a strat sense, it's not a frag sense. I think it's a confidence sense. I think that this is a mental check for them, being able to play here. That it's these maps again. I think it's a mental check for Envy because I know that right now they've been going through a lot of soul searching. Just trying to figure out. Listening to the comms at Katowice, listening to that semifinal match. It wasn't Envy that you were listening to. It was some frustrated team that just couldn't seem to gel, that couldn't seem to come together. I think that's been the main issue right now for Envy that they've been working on. So that there was definitely a reality check there, and they're like, okay, there's got to be something that we can do. So now going into this best of 3. I think NiP are solid right now, that they are right where they need to be. They're very confident with Alu. He's meshing well with the team, and that kind of confidence is going to translate into the game. Whereas Envy, if there's any kind of doubt going up against a team like that, if there's any kind of doubt, it's just going to be like throwing eggs against a wall. It's not going to have an impact. It's just going to make pretty colors. It's not going to be fun.
Yeah, and I mean, you talked about it. It might be a confidence issue, and I actually think that might be part of why we see Inferno being picked instead of Cash from Envy, and maybe they don't feel confident enough to actually bring it to NiP again, on Cash, and
they got
get an easier route,
right?
Yeah, exactly. They got completely trashed, and we're gonna get a bit of a map overview here of Inferno. I mean, it's the staple map of CS:GO. Yes. That has to be said. So nothing unsurprising for most people. And it's actually one of the few maps that hasn't been changed all that much as right now. I mean, the biggest changes are pretty much making apps wider and that type of thing.
No, it's been quite exactly like maps wider, but now you have like that box on a site that you can wall bang through. Things like that. Just small shifts here and there on the map and how the map works. That's all that really has been necessary for Inferno. It feels still a very choked map, and some people would say that it's too choked. These small passages.
Actually, I agree. I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
A apartments, banana, mid, second mid. Like it's all just these narrow passages that you're going to get funneled into. So sometimes that can be frustrating. That does lead to more CT-sided play. But I think we are joining up right on time for the knife round. So we're going to find out who's going to get the start on the defense and who's going to start on the offense. And of course, that's going to be Envy right now on your T side. It's just a straight up shank fight. They aren't wasting any time at all.
Man, I'm actually quite sure, it's a minor detail, but Forrest obviously didn't pick up any armor. Obviously that wouldn't matter, 99% of the time, but if you're actually aware of it, when going into it, you can actually do 2 slices and a stab instead, and that would be a quicker way of actually killing people in a knife round than, you know, the 2 stabs. But, you know, no, there's no actual, you know, visual indication as to whether or not someone has armor on them or not.
Well, the plays are real from Envy's side at least. 2v4, and they managed to come out ahead and actually win that knife round. So they'll be swapping over, not wasting any time at all, getting onto that CT side. As we've been saying, this is a CT-favored map. You know, Thorin as well. You know, it's just like very CT-sided map. We should have. This is a map that you expect to see 11-4 on for the CT side, 10-5, 11-4, somewhere around there, if things go well for the defense.
Yeah, but that's the thing, because I'm not sure if that is actually going to be one of the necessities for this game. I mean, I feel like both teams know how to play the T side efficiently enough to actually pick up loads of rounds. And yeah, this is the type of matchup where you can't really say that, well, I think Envy needs 10 rounds to have a shot. Because they could get 8 rounds on the CT side and still be able to pick up 8 rounds on the T side. They're just that good.
It does make it a bit tricky. I think.
Yeah. But normally, yeah, it's a CT favored map, obviously, and what we're used to seeing, you know, the very best Inferno teams actually picking up, you know, everything from 11 and up in terms of CT rounds. But I don't think that's going to come into play in this game.
What I think is going to be the most important thing here is going to be the capture of momentum. Who's the first team to really pick up steam and start getting rounds on the board, getting frags on the board, get things going their way. I think that's going to be the biggest thing here, the make or break moment, basically. Yeah. Because Envy, you know, like, we're not saying this lightly. I think that they are suffering a little bit of a confidence, you know, crisis of confidence right now. So to be able to get up and go against, you know, their arch rivals NiP, they're going to need a strong start. So the fact that they do get that CT side, bam, if they can lock down a site, just annihilate NiP, just win a very clean pistol, that's going to be a fantastic start for the Frenchman. Yeah. And I might have to go and put the tie on again.
And what's going to be exciting for me to see is that obviously if we, you know, take the last time NiP played Inferno, you know, in an offline situation, which was the Katowice finals versus Fnatic, you know, it was Alu to get things going, and it was pretty much Alu carrying them through that Inferno game until the CT half, where, you know, more and more people started to chirp in. But it's going to be interesting to see which player, or, you know, several players from NiP actually managed to get going quickly for them, because I think, you know, they need that to actually stay in the game.
Very fast play here from MBK, actually. He's going to get stopped before he can actually get into that room to get confirmation that there are players in second mid. All he has to go off of is if he can hear the steps, if anybody walking up there, happy. Falling asleep a little bit there. But yeah, basically MBK getting confirmation.
I think Olo probably saw his Red Bull.
Like, I need to take a second here.
Yeah, right now it seems like NiP posturing up towards the B take. And Envy are actually stacked up pretty nicely here with 3 players.
Yeah, this is exactly where they need to be right now. Quick trade of frags, but there it is. That's the turning point. NiP getting that extra frag. Kyoshima somehow still alive. They were attempting a knife? 4 players still alive. The bomb has been planted, and NiP attempting a knife kill on the 3rd player there. Get right just peeks out and annihilates Happy, and it's NBK, the last man alive, still trying to connect with this P2K. But all 4 members for NiP are here. They are ready to take this fight. And it's not looking too good here for NBK. At this point, he's just looking to get a little bit of extra money, 300 bucks per frag. Just go ahead and pad your pockets, but that's not going to happen. Alu, he was done with it, and NiP will get that strong start.
Yeah, just a very solid one. And I'm actually surprised at a certain point, actually, when they left the last Envy member behind new boxes there, they seemed like they would, at a certain point, were just going to let him live.
Toying with them,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah, like just Fryback chasing him with a knife. But eventually, yeah, they do manage to take the site, and that was actually really well done, because Envy had guessed correctly. They knew that, you know, stuff is about to happen towards the B bomb site and stacked it up correctly, but it's hard to really defend, you know, instant headshots.
It's very difficult. Exactly, like instant headshots walking around. You know, just a second's hesitation, that's all you need when you're NiP. They get up onto that site so quickly.
Yeah, and what you've seen so far, or what you can see right now, is the fact that Envyus have fought up, obviously, with armor and CZ, but they've also bought smokes. And what you're going to see is basically Envy funnel more and more smokes in towards that B bomb site, and kind of try to funnel NiP in towards one bomb site. And they've done this for quite some time. One thing that always strikes me as weird is that the fact that they normally stay with 2 people on the B bomb site.
Well, they do manage to get a bit of the crossfire going there. NBK catching Freiberg. He's still holding an orange. He's getting another kill, and he's still alive. This is perfect. Exist, got to find that angle. NBK pre-firing, or pre-aiming, rather. Not going to connect with the shot. This is what Envy is famous for. LDCZ, they're here. They're looking really good. Alu will finally remove Happy, but there's the flank coming in from Kyoshima, trying to keep him pinned down. He stops that bomb from getting onto the bomb site, and we're into a 2-on-2 now. But Exist did manage to take out Shoxy, who was pushing up onto the bomb site. Kyoshima does get the parting kill and the double as well. About as close as you can get it. But Envy with the 4 CZs and the 5-7, they make the difference.
Yeah, and this is something Envy's done for such a long time, and it's always confused me as to why they want to stay with 2 people towards the B bomb site if their idea with the smokes is pretty much to funnel people in towards A. And you'd imagine that NiP were actually aware of the fact that, well, they usually stick with 2B. Because, I mean, yeah, if you've seen Envy play, that should be an easy tell to go towards A, because like their stack is not even a real stack, it's just a default setup really on the A bomb site. So a bit confused as to how NiP hasn't seen that previously. And obviously, you know, Envy.
I think it was jumping on the opportunity because they managed to get up to the top and they managed to get a man past before that smoke actually went off, that second smoke that was blocking in the B site. So I think it was probably just NiP seeing an opportunity, taking that opportunity and trying to run with it. And once you're committed to it, then you're a bit too far behind. What do you think about that?
Well, I think, you know, what you're saying is, you know, being able to run with it is the key word because, well, initially they did. And obviously, as soon as MBK picks up that second frag, everyone on NiP kind of just got locked inside of the pool area. And that was a big problem, really. Even though they pick up frags, you know, as they should because they have the superior weaponry, they still get bogged down. And, you know, by the time they even, you know, get close to potentially planting the bomb, all of, not LDLC, but Envyus are actually on the B bomb site or just, you know, 2 feet away.
Rotating in with those
Exactly. And that makes the job for NiP so much harder. If they want to commit something like that because one guy gets through a smoke, then they all have to fully commit and just go for it because you can't really at that point use the first guy who's ran through a smoke as, you know, as a bit of a decoy just to see if there's a stack towards the B bomb site. Like, it doesn't really work that well.
We're starting to compare them a little bit to G2. You know, the plays that we saw on Cobblestone yesterday, that moment's hesitation can cost you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, in the eyes of Envy, I mean, Envy has done this so many times. You even saw it in the game versus Property. You know, I mean, they keep on winning eco rounds, rounds they're not supposed to win. And the fact that they lose pistols doesn't really seem to have that big of an effect on them. So they're going to be happy about where they are as of right now.
I think as far as these players are concerned, they should be in a state where, or at least at the very top, like these players are, right? You know, they should be in a state where round loss, round win doesn't really matter. It shouldn't matter. We have a bit of a replay coming in here now at the end when Kyoshima does manage to get the perfect flank off. This was Exist locking down Shox, who tried to push in to lend Kyoshima a hand, but this is it, this tagging right there. Just slowing Get Right down. You see Get Right just trying to get around that corner. He can't make it fast enough, and then they just happen to line up at the end.
Yeah. I mean, great play from Kyoshima. I mean, pre-fight, the initial guy, I think it was Alu, is caught in like the corner right there. Yeah, exactly. Corner, right? Yeah,
and he had the bomb as well. That's what's worse. So Get Right does have to come out, pick up the bomb, and then go back up, and that's all Kyoshima needs.
Yeah. So Kyo played that extremely well, and because of that, Envy are now tied up. What's curious to see is whether or not NiP do decide to force up in the following round. I mean,
that's it.
The finals, you know, versus Fnatic at Katowice, it was basically just like force buy after force buy after force buy, with everyone, you know, the team actually having the lesser advantage.
It seems like that's the theme of this tournament as well. Like, you know, they lose a round. Well, okay, what do we do? T-side, Tech 9 armor, just go for it, man. It's all good. Close your eyes, hold down mouse 1. I mean, but it usually works out. That's kind of the feel, right? That's kind of the feel. A couple flashes in, a smoke, and then, you know, the work is done practically. So I wouldn't be surprised to see NiP just go straight back into it, turn it into a game of chicken, see who's gonna crack first and go for the eco.
Yeah, and you know that, you know, it might not be the exact right phrasing of it, but, you know, if you want to play a game of chicken, I think Envy are probably the easiest team to actually have join in on that. Because they love to force buy, even though, you know, they're not quite at CIS levels in terms of weird force buys, but, you know, they're getting there. They're getting there. So I don't, you know, if NiP want to play that game, I think Envy will happily comply.
Yeah, I think both of these teams really stand a chance for it. I mean, hell, I was trying to put it in there a little bit, you know, LDCZ, like, Envy are famous for that. The CZ, like, that was it. That was their tool at DreamHack Winter, at least, you know.
Yeah, you know, that's how they won a major.
They do it again.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, if the Tech 9 gets a nerf,
No,
then who knows?
They didn't do it at Katowice, that's for sure. Like,
Yeah.
They got railroaded there. So I think that's the main thing here. Is that it's good to see that already both of these teams are just swinging all out at the beginning of Inferno, because this is going to set the pace and set the tone for the rest of this best of 3. Because following that up, you've got Dust2, who NiP seem to be very comfortable on that map now, and then Cash. But you know, I'm sure that Happy, you know, they still wake up, you know, shivering at night, you know, screaming, you know, please no, like don't take over mid, not mid, because NiP every single round they just took control of the map and went with it.
Yeah, I'm secretly hoping to see Cash. That's kind of why I want the 2-1 really, because I think Cash is going to be really fun to see. If we can see a better version of Envy this time around, and if that's still not enough to topple NiP,
I still feel
and whether or not, if we're going to get to see the same display of, you know, just Envy being completely outplayed, because that was the case in Poland.
Is it fear? You know, that's the thing. I mean, it felt like, you know, not outright fear, but it felt like watching that semifinal, there was this hesitation going on Envy's side. Like, they didn't know what they wanted to do. It wasn't inherent. Like, not like a DreamHack Winter where they were just walking around stomping people. Everybody seemed to be on the same page as far as that team was concerned. Everything was going well, but it was just a complete role reversal at Katowice. And that's what they're having to battle back from now. So they get into this match, and it just so happens, you know, less than a week ago, right? You know, okay, these guys are battling in the semis. Here they are again in the group phase in another best of 3. So was that enough time? Just a few days. Was that enough time to start working out the kinks?
Oh, hopefully. If you're Envy, that's what you're hoping
if you're an Envy fan.
Yeah, exactly.
Means I have to go back to the hotel.
And I mean,
though.
A lot of the times it could be, you know, you caught them on a bad day, or it's just minor things that actually is very doable to actually sort out within, you know, a matter of days. Obviously, it's something different to actually apply to your game, but yeah, I mean, they've definitely identified what went wrong during that semifinals versus NiP.
It's a mentality thing, I think. It's a mentality thing. But right now, I'm wondering actually what's happening as far as where we are. PC higher.
Is it MBK's PC?
Well, I thought that was Smith's earlier, because Smith was bringing up the console. Oh. Okay, so it's an issue with Mumble, guys. It's an issue with Mumble. So, is that just on Envy's side, though? I guess maybe Mumble everywhere.
Could be. I mean,
we're
in
plagued,
case,
man. We're plagued.
Yeah.
If it isn't one thing, it's the other.
We started the day really well, though.
Yeah, we had quite a few breaks so already. I know, guys. I know you love breaks, but
we're trying to just spread them more evenly out out of the day. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, really excited to see how this match plays out. I think, you know, regardless of how this, you know, chicken game that we're about to see really is going to play out, I think it's going to be a tight map, regardless, because, you know, obviously one of the teams that will break eventually, and I think it doesn't really matter who it is to break first. I think they're still going to have a really good shot at coming back into it, either, you know, later on in the first half, or just at the second, you know, get off to a good start in the second half. Yeah.
I mean, really, dude, I think what we're going to do is we're going to actually take a short break and figure out what the hell is going on here. So, guys, we'll be back in about 5 minutes' time with our first match of this best of 3. I did that on purpose.
Yeah.
Just, you know, I'm wondering if anybody actually stood up to go to the kitchen or something, like, oh, okay, break. You know, I got 5-10 minutes. He's going to do this double take, look back, like, what? Oh, okay.
We're just full,
Then we're messing with you, man. That's it.
You're like the real incarnation of Twitch chat. That's pretty much it.
Kappa. That's the thing, is though. I can't do that.
But yeah, and I mean, what's there more to say? I mean, I guess we haven't touched on Dust too. I mean, the big issue for NiP. Well, yeah, the big issue for, just to finish my thoughts before we go to the actual break. I mean, yeah, the thing that worked out really well for NiP at Katowice versus Envy was the fact that their double up setup was extremely effective.
That's true. Forrest was hitting some sick shots.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
Forrest was playing absolutely amazing. And, you know, Arlo, it necessarily didn't fill up the stat sheet, but, you know, he gets the frag where he needs to and basically make sure that NiP doesn't have to unnecessarily rotate, that type of thing. And that's absolutely massive, but, you know, it won't show up on a scoreboard. So, you know, Envy's job is going to be really how they're going to work around the double op setups from NiP, and if they can actually find a gap in NiP's armor.
I'm curious to see as well if they're going to make if they're still going to be on shocks using the AWP on Dust 2, or if they're going to turn to Smith and unleash the beast there, or if that is literally just for the double AWP play for Envy. So we are going to take that break, I think. So guys, for real this time, short break. We'll be right back.
After they came and destroyed the land, there was one spark of hope left for all of mankind.
All right, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Apparently, we can catch a break. So we're going to go into the game now. Apparently, they have sorted everything out, so we should be able to go. And we should be able to transfer into the game, and we should be able to go with this because, you know, they're kind of just sitting there. So, and we are just sitting here, and all of you are just sitting here, and everybody's just sitting around waiting for this game to start. And there we go. Into the game we go. Match should be unpaused momentarily, and we're going to get into the third round of this match. Team Envy versus NiP, second best of 3 of the day, the winner match of Group A. And there we have it, the magic of freeze time going away, then. Never to be seen again, please. Okay.
You know, knock on wood. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, as we talked about, it's going to be the game of chicken. NiP just force buying up directly. And the buy coming out of Envy isn't all that impressive. 2 FAMASes, an AK, 5.7, and a Nova.
A Nova?
Yeah. I mean, we've seen the Alu do the same kind of thing. I mean, it's not like it's a bad gun versus anti-eco, no, versus an eco at all. But you know, I still don't think it's the optimal weapon choice, especially with how good the pistols are now. Weirdly enough, NiP has actually opted not to go, you know, full-on YOLO mode with the Tech 9s, and actually gone for P250s and a couple of nades instead. So they definitely have something set planned for this. Just curious to see where they want to go. They only have 3 smokes, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we're going to see a B execute once again, basically just smoking off both, you know, entry from spawn and the coils area. Mm-hmm. And it seems like, yeah, you can see slowly three members from NiP are just wandering around in banana.
Yeah, starting to set up, it looks like. Seems like Get Right is just doing Get Right things.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, run around, try and draw attention to himself in this case. But this is definitely to get Envy to focus over here. Get Right going to launch himself out through short. Is he going to spot the headshot? No, he will not. Kyoshima finds him instead. And now the push begins on the other side of the map. It is going to be that B push, and NBK is getting 2 kills with the Nova already. Then that's not even this. Happy. Happy just obliterates him.
Yeah, that one.
What I wanted to say was, and that's not all. Happy is still here, right? So already NBK, that's what, like $900 per kill? So that's what, 1,800?
Yeah, I mean, loads of money for MBK actually, and they handled that pretty easily. I think Get Right obviously wanted to get more out of that than what he did, and but the execute from NiP wasn't that effective. But obviously, it's hard to really avoid shotgun pellets through smoke. I mean, it's hard to know where to jump in that case. So it was, yeah, just a solid hold from Envy. And already, you know, the game of chicken is over because now NiP decide that enough's enough, and they're actually going to do one proper eco before they actually choose to buy up.
As far as they're concerned, it's supposed to be Envy who are the ones forcing up in this scenario. Instead, Shoxy's going to get dropped down to around half HP, so that's some good damage done to him initially already to start.
Yeah.
Just looking to get anything out of this. This is a hard eco from NiP as well, so just Glocks, not even a P250 to be found. So curious to see if they're going to be able to overwhelm, but this is all about just drawing the attention over to this A site once again. But this time they're committing a few more guns to the task. Get Right is not going to be the only one here. Instead, Kyoshima is going to find Forrest, who's trying to fall back, and NBK is already pre-firing through the smoke. He sees it coming, but then the push down mid here from Envy as well. They're just going to box NiP in. It turns into a slaughter. This is the blender. Exist is already managing to pick up at least 1 frag, but that is all they will manage here. So very clean anti-eco round coming out here from Envy.
Yeah, not much of a loss really at all. Only Smith's dying. On the other hand, I mean, you can expect much more from NiP just going a full eco. This is going to be the most interesting round though, obviously. First buy round, or first proper buy round really, if you don't, you know, exclude the pistols. And NiP have been able to buy up fully with smokes, and nearly everyone has 2 flashes as well. So we're probably going to see a slow execute coming up from NiP.
And I was hesitating for a second there because I thought that NBK would actually hold on to the Nova in this situation. That would have been a bit ambitious, greedy perhaps.
I think definitely greedy would be the right way.
Yeah, that would be a lot of money, but if they come rushing at you, you're not going to be around for long. Only really JW who can pull that off with the Swag 7. Now, this is something that we do not see every day, however.
This is actually really cool. Not really sure how they, like, who they're gonna, you know, sacrifice pretty much. But the idea is that one of the players actually show themselves to the point where, you know, if he dies, he dies. But NiP are definitely not going to expect the second guy around to be there. But it seems like they've actually gone away from it. I wonder if Forrest actually caught that.
He caught that smoke. There you go. Smith does manage to make it out in one piece. He does get tagged down a little bit, but Forrest, the timing there, he does manage to spot that smoke. But that smoke goes down at a good time. 35 seconds left in this round here. NiP are quickly running out of time. Shoxy with a great pop flash in, takes out Get Right, but Exist blinded, takes out Smiths. It's going to be down to Kyoshima now, who peeks out and drops the bomb carrier over on Arch, and that is a big kill right there for Envyus. They're going to be able to really slow down the NiP push. It seems like NiP have managed to get control of Short and get control of Pit as well, but Shoxy's only temporarily given this up. He's waiting on the rotation to come in here from his mates.
Oh, and that's a big opportunity lost there for Forrest. He could have easily picked up one of the rotators. Instead, he actually goes down to MBK now. A lot of this has, you know, it's pretty much on Freiberg here in Pit. This is doable.
I mean, he's got a solid position. Oh, and he almost gets the double spray. Takes out the first one, could get the second. He drops him down so low and nearly takes out Happy as well. Freiberg going way too close to pulling that off. A 1v3 clutch would have been huge for NiP.
That would have been massive, and you know, just one more bullet from any of his teammates actually onto either Keo or Happy there would have done it. Really. Unfortunate for NiP, they do get the bomb plant though, so it's not all lost, and they will be able to buy up again. And you can see the heavy focus on picking up smokes, and this is obviously because they want to execute, you know, properly. They actually want to push up once they actually decide to go.
Curious right now, it looks like there is going to be, they're changing up their smokes as well for the B side. You know, they're a little bit too late there to block off the bottom, so what they do, they just change it up. And this is actually being used as a bit of a bait as well, so I do like these changes in strategy. Get Right has got to be kicking himself right now. That's 2 rounds in a row he gets caught by that pop. That's a problem. And then a nice little flash in there. Smith gets them to line up, just doing the damage. They're not going to be able to pick up the kills, but still getting the information. And now Shoxy rotates in on Short. It's just turning into a crossfire, a series of crossfires here that NiP are having to deal with. Freiberg not going to be able to return the frag onto Shoxy, but he does spot out Kyoshima crouching in the corner, and that'll be a good kill there. 2 kills coming in for Freiberg. And he is the man, I mean, he is the man you can count on in these kinds of situations. He just turns up for NiP nearly every single time.
And now, you know, the hero from the finals for NiP, Ali, it's his time to shine here. Did get the bomb plant though, so that, you know, that's already secured money for NiP for the next round.
That's the important bit, really, that bonus 800. But right now he's going to be in a bit of an awkward spot. Crossfire situation, and that's almost like 3 angles at that point that he has to watch. You know, the smoke both sides and then Short behind him. Very difficult position for himself to find, or for him to find himself in. But still, you're right. He gets that bomb plant out of it. That bonus money is going to go a long way.
And NiP are just going to keep pressing the issue really as long as they can. As long as they're going to get a bomb plant, they're just going to continue to buy. Because this way, well, you know, they're not exactly keeping Envy's money low, but, you know, they're keeping them under pressure, and they'll always have the potential of actually picking up a round.
And again, a different strategy here from Envy as well at the opening, at the beginning of this round. Happy with the peek. Is he going to get another flash in? He has to hear the steps. They don't check. They check too late, but Forrest does get the kill in time. Way too close, and they even make it out in one piece. NBK taking some nade damage. That was just silly. And then the push through, a great flash, completely blind, and NBK not able to line up his spray. Double entry frag for Exist onto the B site, and NiP, every member is still alive. They will get the bomb plant, and they will secure this round. Although Kyoshima will have something to say about that. Takes out Get Right, but 2v4 retake on the B site, it's going to be a bit much to ask.
No, it's not worth it, really. It's that simple for Envy. Even though they, you know, they have a bit of bank, much safer to just go back and, well, yeah, hold on to your weapons if that is possible. And with the money situation NiP find themselves right now, they don't really have the opportunity to waste, you know, potential easy AKs that they could hold on to.
Instead, they're making use of the nades to try and check these angles. Shoxy's going to, well, he's finally going to hunt down Forrest. You killed by in-game later.
But yeah, I mean, again, that was a bit of a weird round because it's simply, like, Envy had loads of situations where they actually should have come out ahead. Happy should have definitely had the frag onto Forrest that side of B there. And then, obviously, Exist does a great job popping through the smoke and actually catches one of the Envy members off guard. But MBK, he definitely had a very easy job compared to his teammate to actually pick up that revenge frag on Exist. And with that done, you know, already it's down to a 3v3 instead. No, I mean 2v3, which is more manageable.
Oof, man, that is just so clean there by Kyoshima and Shoxy, both peeking together, double peek, and two guys from NiP just walk right into it. This is end of days here for NiP. If they lose this round, their money is going to get reset. Despite them staying alive with a reasonable number of rifles, they can't really afford for their money to turn into a jigsaw puzzle quite yet, or a seesaw. You know, it needs to stay level. It's just going to slow things down, going into the rest of this match. So for now, it looks like bit of a cheeky smoke coming out here. Unhappy. Is he going to find the angle? They're literally right on top of each other. Is this going to happen? Forrest, man. Okay, then. How does this play out? Forrest, the sleuth, the sneak. He's managing to get in here. Smith, however, is holding this angle. He's going to catch him off guard. Happy just turns around, but it's not fast enough.
That is, I mean, we do have the benefit of, seeing this with X-ray and all that. It always looks so awkward.
Of course, right? It's like, oh, does he see? Does he see? I mean, no way for it. That was just perfect. I mean, Forrest still getting the kill onto Smith. I'm wondering if Smith that was like the moment that he unscoped or something along those lines. But Alu now with only 15 seconds left on this clock to actually get a bomb plant. He's getting boxed in. They know exactly where he is. HE's going to go the wrong way, and Happy, he will get his third frag of the round.
A solid ramp from Envyus once again, and yeah, as you said, NiP's money situation not the greatest, and with not even getting a bomb plant, they're just going to have to go with base stalls once again.
That was it right there. That round being able to get reset, flipped over. I mean, they now are down to like what, 1,400. They're going to be around like the 3K mark if they're investing a little bit actually. So they're just evening things out, seeing if they can't get lucky here. But Kyoshima, again, I'm liking this from Envy, man. They're switching up their defense on the B side. They're switching up their defense on the A side. They're becoming very difficult to predict as far as NiP are concerned. The NiP are not going to know where to look. But there's going to be a quick arch push here, trying to capitalize on Smith and the AWP, and Forrest is going to connect with the headshot. Kyoshima will catch Get Right lurking. Get Right, this is just not his day in apartments. He's getting evicted round after round.
Do get the bomb plant though, so even though they're going to most likely get cleaned up here, it's only Freiburg left. Still very good round from NiP. Absolutely. And actually, one of the things you mentioned, Envy are, changing things up, round by round. We went and seen a couple of different setups of how they want to play apartments and that kind of stuff, and it's really caught Get Right off guard. He actually hasn't been able to contribute with anything at all so far, and that really needs to change if NiP wants to, get more TE rounds, because right now, Shox and Kyoshima are basically just, having a happy time covering that area, and they can actually happily just clear that out early on and then easily, feel safe about rotating, so they don't really feel that pressure towards the bomb site.
It's a bit distressing to see Get Right with only one frag on the board as well. He's supposed to be your point man. Happy gets out of there with 4 HP. I think that turned into a game. I mean, that was also just watching. Kyoshima's going to catch Forrest off guard up in apartments. He's got a mate watching his back as well. Get Right wisely does not commit to that. He will not give up his frag easily. So they do end up coming out ahead here, Envy. They eventually get, or NiP, that is, eventually get control of apartments. They've taken quite a bit of damage doing so. Now I'm wondering if they're going to go ahead and pressure Smith again, because they were lucky with it last time. Now Freiburg, he's got that AWP. He's going to get clipped, immediately taken out. Smith going to flick onto Exist. Could he find the third as well? He's trying to peek it, but Ali will not let him. Tagged down to Oblivion. You're not going anywhere. And this is now just a question of whether NiP can run this bomb onto the site. 2v4, 2 guys in the pit holding for Envy. This is going to be so difficult now. It has to be just a sick shot, and Alu just barely whiffs it. Not going to get another opportunity either. 30 seconds left. It's just ticking down. But Happy makes the mistake of peeking, and Get Right was wisely holding Library, making sure that that rotation was not meant to be.
And actually, if NiP wanted in that situation, they could have gone towards the B bomb site, where there would have been a sole defender. Instead, they kind of forced their way up on the B bomb site. And you could actually make an argument for that, as soon as they get that frag onto Happy, they should actually just set sail for the B bomb site. I mean, obviously, you're not going to have the knowledge as to what position the guy remaining on B is playing, but, it's still a better situation for you to be in a 1v2, no, 2v1 than, a 2v2. But yeah, new round for Envyus, and it's back to pistols once again for NiP.
They have just not been able to get their feet under him at all this half. NBK is going to be the first man to pick up a frag. Pop flash there into pull. It's going to slow things down even further for NiP. NBK taking a peek with the CZ, though. He's going to have to fall back, but Happy is just going to take all the frags. He wants all of them. He can't even hold all these frags. Instead, he's going to be shocked. He wants a piece of that as well, so he's going to get in there and get some too. But Envy now sitting on 9 rounds and just a mountain of money. So much money. This is like a Thug Life Exist moment right here. Just so much money. Whereas NiP are just barely cobbling together another buy.
Yeah, and at this point, NiP really has to get something going, and I think actually they should move more heavily towards the A-bomb site. Like, just see if they can get earlier entry picks without having, you know, committing too heavily in apps, walking too far up, really. If they can see if they can work something through the middle area, because right now, Smith is playing extremely passively in Arch, something he usually does, NiP should be aware of that. And with, you know, Shoxi or Kiyoshima basically have been living inside of buttons for the early stages of the round, that leaves a gap opening for quad that you could actually try to challenge if you're NiP.
Seems like NiP again, though. I mean, they're once again going through the motions. They have Freiburg, you know, scouting out Banana, but then they also have him clearing out apartments, so they get control of apartments, and now they've worked their way around, making sure that the boost. Oh man, the timing. The timing would have been unreal for Forrest to check, and then for Kyo to get boosted up after that. That would have been just incredible. And instead is going to be a quick rotation back towards that B site. This is NiP trying to change things up, and here you go, the execute through. NBK not going to get that first one, but the Molotov will certainly pick up Freiburg. They're just rushing their way into Pool, and Happy's point-blank spray takes out 2 NiP members and goes for a third as well. Just going to be Forrest left in a 1v4, 30 seconds left, and he's just boxed. NBK will find him. But a solid hold for Envy. 10 rounds on the board now. The pain train, man, it just keeps rolling. NiP.
Really, NiP seem kind of clueless as to where they want to go. This is definitely, you know, similar to what, I mean, this looks more like NiP we saw versus TSM on Inferno. You know, not that major winner that always brings it back on Inferno. And right now I don't know, they don't have anywhere to go. They just seem completely out of it.
I do seem to be wondering. They do seem to be wondering right now, but let's see. They're going for a fast play up Arch this time to potentially catch out Smith. Kiyoshima, however, waiting in that corner, and he's got the support now as well from his teammate. He's going to be able to pick up that first frag. They're going to nade him down, and then the double kill opening comes in. Exist and Freiburg both.
Yeah, and actually Happy making a bit of a mistake there, pushing way too aggressively down behind them, because Envy at that point thought NiP had committed fully to that A push, and instead it gets picked off, and now you can see obviously Envy in a really awful situation, spread way too thin, and Smith has to do something absolutely insane for this to work for the French team.
Is it going to happen, or does he decide to passively hold this angle? And where do NiP take it after this? Smoke to block their trail so they don't have to worry about getting caught in the back. Smith repositioned himself in time. And the rotation already inching its way across the map now from NBK as well, but he's just going to be so far away, he's never going to know what hit him. They go right past him before he can do anything about it. And now NBK is going to step in here. And really, if NBK is anywhere on this side of the map, it's just to do economic damage. It's to get some kills and make this as costly a round as possible for NiP.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, as you can see there on the scoreboard, NiP's money situation is not really great. So, yeah, even though they're going to get, you know, extra money for the bomb plant, whatever, they're going to win the round, obviously. You know, that tiny bonus that you get, $300 for planting, like all that stuff, if you actually lose your entire equipment, you know, it's not enough. It's not a big enough bonus.
He's not going to get it done this time, so NiP managed to hold, and that's a 3rd round now for their T side here on Inferno. So they seem to struggle somewhat, but they are making adjustments. They are putting pressure early, and they are managing to catch some members out for Envy. So NiP, they are not done yet. If this ends 10-5, I think that the Swedes are going to be feeling, well, the Swedes +1, right, are going to be feeling very happy about the situation.
Oh, they have to be there. And actually, this is actually the first time we're going to see Alu actually having the money to buy up with an AWP.
Yeah, you're right,
on the
actually.
T side. So maybe that also could be a saving grace for the Swedish team.
But again, they do take their time with it. They're going to go ahead and clear out apartments this time, but then they build off of that with the AWP. So the shift is coming. This time around, however, Kyo not wasting as much time with this boost. So let's see if Alu is actually going to check it out if he realizes, because for now he's going to get caught by Smith. What reactions? Both take a shot, and Smith is the one to land. But Get Right's got to be feeling pretty pleased about this right now. He hasn't died yet, Ben. He's still alive.
Yeah, trying to draw as much attention towards the A-bomb side as possible, and it's actually working out really well. Happy again, having rotated way too early. That leaves NBK all by himself.
Yeah, very, very quick rotations coming out, and then the insta-give coming in from Forrest. Happy trying to spray as best he can. He will do a little bit of damage, but it's not significant. It's not enough. The bomb will get planted here by Exist, and in a bit of a cheeky spot as well. Orange is way back, about as far back in there as you can get it, too. So they're just looking to set up residence on this bomb site. NiP are not going to be leaving it at all here. 4v4 retake coming in, but there's the initial frag. Smith is waking up. Does not manage to pick up the kill into Dark, but still, they've got him boxed in at this point. Exist, blind, not going to be able to stop it. Another kill comes in. Kyoshima is going to find that one. And Exist gets cleared out, and man, NiP just cannot hold. Envy, they will have the time for the defuse. No, they won't. Wait, yes, they will. I thought for some reason that they were like, they actually took a second there to get somebody on that bomb.
Oh yeah, and again, there was a bit of a wonky afterplan really from NiP's side. I think definitely they could have done more to actually play off of time. Get Right definitely committed too hard. I mean, I think it actually would have been okay, regardless of where the plant actually was. I think it's okay to let 1 or 2 pass by through main there after he picks up that first kill.
Ooh, that flash, double spray for Happy. Nearly gets a triple as well. And they are just trying to keep up the pressure here. Freiberg just pushes relentlessly through, trying to take that peek. He gets spotted out, however, and now it's going to turn into Duck, Duck, Goose. Smith is here, and he gets the spot. I mean, the flank works out perfectly. And Envy, they're on their way to a near perfect half. It's looking very likely that we're going to get a 12-3 here. 1v4 finish for Get Right, and he's getting boxed as well. There's nowhere for him to go. He has to go forward. This is it. But there are 3 members for Envy staring down Banana. There's one. Pop flash out as well, but it's not going to be good enough. NBK will cut him off, cut him short, and it's going to be a 12-3 end to the half here in favor of the Frenchman.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that was more of a poor T half from NiP than a brilliant CT side from Envy, and that's not to take anything away from Envyus, because obviously they did the correct things in most rounds. I mean, actually the few rounds that NiP picked up, it's mainly because Envy got too aggressive. You saw Happy, pushing down Banana, getting caught out, and the second round on B, actually they didn't win that, but that's what gave them the opportunity, with Happy rotating way too early over towards A and leaving MBK all by himself. I mean, yeah. NiP seemed kind of close as to where they wanted to go and what they wanted to do, and they got stuck in the same track really for a lot of the first half.
I think what was real rough as well is just how little of an impact Get Right was able to have up in apartments.
Yeah, eventually he stopped going there.
Yeah,
for a while
they forced him out of apartments. He just wouldn't even go up the stairs at that point, because he doesn't know if he's going to get pop flashed again, if Shoxy's just going to come around the corner, or Kyoshima's lurking in bedroom. Like, it just never seemed like he was able to get his finger on what was actually happening up there. So now we have to see if he's going to be able to change things up somewhat here, if he's going to be able to lock down that portion of the map. But for now, at least, we go into the second half here, the pistol round. NiP now swapping over to the CT side, and Envy will be on the offense. They will be the aggressors, and they're just going barreling up mid until that smoke goes down. Perfect timing there from Get Right, and they are going to stop short. So now change of pace, change of direction. Do you agree with this, Ben?
I mean, yeah, from Envy's side, that's definitely the right move to do. I mean, you don't want to run through smokes at pretty much any given point, but especially not in a pistol. NiP though, they've actually stacked up on the B bomb side, so they should have a really good chance actually to hold this off.
Except that Shoxy continues to find headshots relentlessly. He will get dropped by Freiberg, who plays behind new boxes, and this is now into a 2-on-3. Rotation coming in, however. Happy, he's just going to have to hoof it as fast as he can across this map. Get through into CT, but he has to be careful. He can't give away his position, and he starts walking just in time, but then goofs and doesn't land the shot. Alu's going to get caught in the crossfire, though, so they do manage to stabilize, and this is now so even between the two of them, but that was a big opportunity there for Happy to just tomb Alu right off the bat and keep the pressure up. Instead, now it turns into this waiting game, because NiP are just sitting on the bomb. They have the bomb at their feet. They don't need to peek. Get Right is just holding in Banana, and there's Freiberg. He takes out Kyoshima. That instant headshot. Happy not going to be able to turn in time. He needs to get this kill instantly, and he will. Burst fire to the face. Freiberg is very low on HP as well, and he's going to get found. Happy does it at the end. 1v2 clutch scenario, and he pulls it off. Envy, they get that start once again in the second half.
Yeah, they get off to a great start, and I think that should have been NiP's round. I definitely should have think that should have been NiP's round. I'm actually surprised that Get Right didn't actually connect with more shots.
Agreed,
on Happy
yeah.
there. Especially because Happy went out to clear towards Banana and actually kind of halfway turned away. when Get-Right came back, and that should have been an easy kill for Get-Right.
Yeah, Get-Right can be at times a momentum player though, and maybe, you know, the rough start that he got to begin with is affecting his play somewhat here. That was a very nice crossfire though over at Arch, but then MBK steps in with the UMP. He's gonna get 2. Get-Right and Boiler taking a bit of a peek, not gonna be able to pick up the frag, but he's done significant damage to Kyoshima at least. So that's gonna slow down Envy a little, or rather, that's gonna slow down Envy a little bit here. He eventually goes for the repeat though, and Kyoshima gets revenge. Now just Freiberg and Forrest left alive for NiP, trying to spread out to figure out where is this bomb, because they haven't seen the bomb yet, actually. So this might be a little bit confusing here for the Swedes.
And they're actually opting to play both plays on the same bomb site, which is, you know, I guess if you want to have a shot at actually winning the round, that's probably the best way to go about it.
That was a thing of beauty right there, though. That combo HE Nova shot, Freiberg. It's like an artist, watching an artist at work.
It seems like Envy starting to get that feel that, you know, NiP might be playing to people towards the A-bomb site, and hence they rotate over, but Freiberg, he's onto it.
I would think that they just heard that Speedway, that run on Speedway there. They're pre-firing that angle, and this is not the best weapon to have here. The Nova, long range, is really tough. He actually has to use this smoke to try and close the gap, Freiberg. He's just going to run and gun and try and get behind the truck, but now getting past that, you walk right into a bullet from Happy. They are not going to let you get close enough to use that shotgun and pick up that money. Forrest, however, with the UMP, he could have a bit of a better shot at range with it.
And it does have armor as well, so I wouldn't be too surprised if Forrest is just going to sit in this angle and wait for someone to potentially, you know, push up on him and try to get some exit frags. Otherwise, it's not the worst weapon in the world to actually have for a second eco.
Certainly. I mean, it does terrific damage versus armor right now, the UMP. One of the highest out of the SMGs, so it's a good weapon to have, and it's $600 per kill if you can get it to work for you. NBK picked up 2 kills that last round as well with one, so I mean, they're doing all right. P90, unless they've made a change, that's only $300 for the SMGs though, just because it's the Pro 90, so, you know, what. But,
yeah, you can see Forrest dropping off his PT50 from the previous round. I think it was Alu who was the recipient of that. So yeah, they're sharing the care right now for NiP, and they kind of need to, everyone needs to have the best opportunity to actually get away with the kill, because Envyus are one round away from that point.
Easy shot there on to Get-Right. Shoxy's going to find Alu as well. That's the P250 down there. Now we have a man in Arch already rotating through, but they're trying to play this sneaky. Look at Happy, though. Happy in his lurker role, rather. I'll get it right eventually. He is going to get caught, though. That is big. Forrest and Freiberg teaming up on him in Banana. And now Exist trying to push through this smoke, trying to find that angle. He is not going to get it in time, but they know that the bomb is now on the A site and that it is going to get planted here. So NiP going to be able to react accordingly and see if they can't close things off. Freiberg making the right call right now, trying to save this AK. But that UMP and that P250, see if you can't get a little bit more money out of it.
First, actually, he's not going to attempt to save, I would imagine, because he's going to be able to buy up anyway. Just try to catch Shane. Yeah, catch Smiths off in a weird angle. Didn't even bother to pick up the weapon. So he just wants to, make as much money as possible before this round ends. Picks up shocks as well.
But that's, oh, okay, well, there we go. Kyoshima's going to stop him from picking up the gun, but that could have potentially even been a second rifle there for Forrest. Although, I don't know if there would have been just enough time for him to get out of dodge if he'd suffered any damage before that. So, not sure if he would have just gone up with the bomb. But still, 2 kills, I mean, extra $1,200. He makes Envy spend a lot of money this round. So that was a very costly round for Envy as far as an anti-eco is concerned.
Yeah, and at this point, that's kind of, you have to grasp at straws to find something that is going your way. And for NiP, it's the fact that, well, if we win a couple of rounds in a row, we're going to have them on eco. But obviously, Forrest dying to MVK right away does not do any good.
Let's see how things are going here. Freiberg is going to take this fight, but great positioning there by Envy. They stack up together, making sure that they can trade the frags and maintain that man advantage that they've got now. So Exist is now the only man alive on this B side, and Envy are just knocking at the door. They already have the nades to set this up as well. It does seem like they could... I would really counsel against going through the smoke. It seems like they're going to be very patient right now.
Yeah, and Exist on his end, no smokes left, no nades, nothing really. He has to get a great spray in, and that's pretty much it.
Well, there you go. You ask and you shall receive. Nice kill there. 2 to bring it back in. That bomb looks like it's going to get planted, although this comes down to timing here. Exist, if he hears that bomb plant happen, is he going to go rushing through? Already pushing through construction, looking to see if he can find an angle to work with. He's already got his teammate as well. Get right there to watch his back. But happy with that fresh smoke. Another smoke going down. Kyoshima has found Alu, at least that's one member. And Happy now looking like he wants to set up for a push through. Trying to go for something crazy. Is he just trying to buy time? What is he doing? He's contemplating life, watching a flash grenade go through the air while his teammate is going for the wild spray and runs out of bullets. Get Right will come through in the end, and that was very close. And it's going to be close with the defuse as well.
Get Right will have the time to defuse it, but yeah, I have no idea what Happy was doing. It's like a poor imitation of Snacks and what he tries to. That
was like three flashes that he just kept throwing up and.
Yeah, and he actually could have used that, to his advantage at some point instead of just like making it abundantly clear, like, oh yeah, I'm just going to continue to stay in this spot where you could see, nades fly up.
What is he thinking, man? I mean, maybe it's because they're on match point, not match point, but map point. 15-4. I mean, that's a pretty good scoreline to have T-side Inferno.
Yeah, it's not a bad place to be, but he definitely could have done more out of it, so I'm not really sure what that was, but yeah. Oh, well, they're just unscoping the second that he actually sees someone in pit.
Oh, man, I was thinking that was the perfect flash, but then 4 guys are there. Freiburg, that's unfortunate. Forrest is not going to be the only man here. Quick rotation coming in from NiP. They just need to buy time, and the double spray comes in for Forrest. That's the kind of damage they need. Quick push through. Exist imitating Existence, and he is just going to get the pain in. Does manage to drop Shoxy, so we're into a 2-on-2. And that smoke preventing Happy from spotting out Exist. It might be just on the edge. Not going to get him. But Get Right has taken out his teammate Kyoshima. And it's down to Happy now. Just spraying wildly. And he gets nothing out of it. Gets a bullet to the face from Get Right. And Get Right even manages to save the AWP for all of that. That right there is the kind of round that NiP need to get their game going again.
Yeah, and I think that's the big key, really. Like, even though this map might be lost for NiP, it's definitely a better feeling to go into the second map, having lost 16-10, for instance, instead of 16-3.
NBK, once again, taking a little bit of time there, but this is going to be pretty much a hard eco coming out. Well, no, not a hard eco, far from it, in fact. They've got 3 Tech 9s, a Deagle, flash grenade. Smith is the one who's ecoing, but I imagine that's because he wants to pick up the AWP. So doesn't want to be spending any, excess money if he can get the AWP next round. That makes perfect sense. Olu, I think, hits 1, and manages to dodge the double. Forrest is going to pick up 1, and right now it's literally just blender time. Exist, I don't know if he spotted the last man there, but that was the bomb. Yeah, he comes back to check and picks up NBK. So just a little bit of damage dealt to Get Right. A kill on Forrest. I mean, not the best eco round, but still doing some damage to NiP.
Yeah, I mean, for NiP, it doesn't really matter as long as you can replenish the people who die. You don't really care, because if you lose a round, it's over. Going to a new map, so they're going to be fine as long as they just scrape one more round on the board. As for Envy, obviously, minimal investment, and didn't get Kevlar or anything, just a couple of pistols and 1 flash, so they're not too bothered. And just the world's shortest break.
Yeah, I know, they're just keeping us on our toes, man. See how many breaks we can fit into one map.
Yeah, and prior to the game started, we talked about Alu, how he was, the man who actually shined the brightest for NiP during the finals versus Fnatic. Right now, he's having a really hard time actually getting his game going.
Yeah, Get Right has really turned his around, in fact. Just seems to be getting round, or at least kills consistently each and every round now. But Alu just hangs around a little bit too long, and NBK is going to crouch walk right into him. Exist, however, aggressive position here. Needs to be able to pick up the second frag to fight his way out of here, however. Shoxy just keeping him pinned down with 14 HP left. And they are not wasting any time with him. They're going to run right onto that A site, catch Forrest out of position, and get the bomb plant. This is now the do or die time here for NiP. After that tactical pause, Envy get a perfect insert onto that A site, and now it's a near impossible situation here for NiP. They need to be able to pick up a kill quickly, but all of the angles are going to be watched here, and Shoxy's even on the hunt. Yeah, Exist does pick up 1. Shoxy going to pick that, and then NBK will be the last man to pick up a frag here on this first map. 16-6 finish for Envy, and that's the kind of confidence play that they really needed.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, if they were having confidence issues prior to this game going into, facing NiP, they're definitely, that's all gone by now.
And going into Dust 2 as well, which is a strong map for Envy.
Yeah, it is a strong map for Envy, but they need to, figure a way to actually sort out, the issues they had with the double up setups from NiP. Obviously, Alu has to play better than what he did in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, he has to be a threat with the AWP for Envy to actually respect it, but we'll see what actually comes of it. I mean, there's not really much more than just that for me.
I mean, right? It just never really seemed to have any kind of space between it. But I think we're actually going to hear from the analysts now. So a short word from Scoots Thorin and Richard Lewis.
All right, welcome back, folks. Thank you, Semler and Vendetta. Map 1. Woo! Get some!
First of all, weakest high five I have ever seen.
It's a long reach.
Let's do it again.
Better.
What's your arthritis? What's your arthritis?
If all you can mock is the high five, I'm cool with that, bro.
I heard your hip click from here, all right?
I got new hips, man. I'm all new. I'm all new. That new esports money.
With him. He scored it on you.
Look. We've all had a drink and said things we regret at times, right? You know what I mean? I still think NiP are going to take this series. We said Inferno was the question mark.
Doubling down.
Yeah, exactly, mate. That's what you do in a casino when you're down on your luck. Don't you know that? He does. That's why he wants to stop the kids gambling, right?
Think of the kids.
Yeah, think of the kids. But no, seriously, like Inferno was the question mark for NiP. I think we can comprehensively say now they are going to struggle on that map, especially if they come up against Envyus again later on. These next two maps, potentially a different prospect. And I'm still backing NiP to win the series. I've got to.
I'm loving where I am. Actually, I wasn't expecting it to be so overwhelming. I actually thought that NiP would have a better CT side, but obviously they lost the pistol round immediately. And with how many they'd given up in the first time, it was going to be very hard to come back at that point in time. But no, the problem is, so far, we haven't really got to see that scenario of, like, who did we pick? Because I picked Shox on the T side, and they barely had to do anything on the T side. So it was mainly just lockdown CT play, which is what made them famous for being very good on Inferno. So kind of by the book overall. And interestingly, they didn't show any of the kind of problems that they had in Katowice, actually. Like, Happy was the guy top fragging early on, and he was the guy who'd really disappeared in that series. The thing about that NiP style of when they're able to play even Fnatic, even Envy, these best teams in the world, and beat them all, play them very close, is that actually it's worth noting that tends to happen late in tournaments. The reason it's like magical, the runs they go on, is that they seem to always wind up as the tournament goes. Like in a group stage, they'll be decent. Then the quarterfinals, there might be a close map, or it might be they gradually get better as the tournament goes on. So maybe the same pattern's happening here. Maybe even though it was a best of 3 to us, it looked like a final. It was still the group stage. They're still it's still fairly certain they'll get out. So maybe NiP's just not in top gear yet, but Envy looked great.
Yeah, rock solid. So, any more thoughts on that particular map for you?
Well, yeah, because I believe we've got to keep it short and punchy. Yeah. So, I'll just say...
Which is terribly hard for all of us.
Yeah, exactly. For, the pontification masters, right? But, I do want to say that Envyus, so far so good. Happy, as I said, was important. He did top frag early on. He looked very comfortable in his game. Obviously woke up refreshed from his sleep on the beanbags. Special shout out to Kiyoshimo. I thought was played some incredibly smart rounds. He ended up top fragging, I think, overall, come the end of the game for Envyus. But he played some very smart rounds, good positionally, good communications, didn't peek, had some real smart play where he allowed his team to rotate. And so far, so good, very well drilled. NiP looked a little bit at 6s and 7s, like Duncan rightly points out. They're not playing at the same level they were in the later stages of Katowice. So I still think they'll win the series, though. I think there's enough there in the locker, and I'm going to stick with my prediction, but it's just I'm going to have to switch it to 2-1.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually never seen into the NiP locker room. Like, I don't want to know what you've seen in there. What is it that they're hiding, Richard, that you think they might be able to bring out in this game to win?
Well, I think the fundamental...
Freeberg's got a deagle, right?
Yeah,
He's got a deagle on him.
If we're using euphemisms now, Duncan, I find it incredibly childish. No, but no, look, I think Ninjas in Pyjamas, we know what they have in the locker, and that is world-class players, an amazing... Why do you say that? It's the most ridiculous thing. Locker, not locker room.
Yeah, okay. Locker.
I don't mean they're all in there whipping each other with towels or anything. Okay. But they've got to get right. That's probably the best wraparound, kind of fragger, the best backstab fragger that's ever played the game. They got Forest, the absolute master. I think Exist as well has had like some incredible patches. It's just about bringing it all together. It's like they've got all the great ingredients for a lovely gumbo, but they're not really getting it in the pot at the same time. So you ended up with, I don't know what an anti-gumbo is. Duncan will probably know the word.
Terrible gumbo. So Dust 2.
Dust 2.
Keys to victory for both teams.
Well, like I say, the last 2 times they played that match, except the Katowice, say that the times that Envy won the series, they always had this insane T half. And it was always the second half. So they wouldn't do that great on their CT side, but then they'd just smash it completely with the entries on T side. So I think the key for them is the same. They know how to win. They know how to play against NiP in that sense. And actually, the guy who was top fragging here, Shox overall, I think, is the difference maker, but their entry sides always live and die on Kiyoshima. He's the guy who's the pure entry fragger on their team, and it seemed like when they won tournaments, his level was the one that rose up each time. So if he can have his entries on T side, I think they win this map and it's 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, I think keys to victory for NiP, just to, well, Duncan's the French perspective, and you do have a massive thing for these French guys, I've got to say, especially Shox. I worry about
it's that rock and roll lifestyle, They come along in the morning, they play a game, they're like, je suis fatigué. Then they curl up on a beanbag, and then they wake up, come back, just bang out like the third best team. Like, there's lads, I'm off to second map.
When you record another video from your hotel room lying down tonight, just please.
I'm like them, Richard. I could actually just be like in a somnambulant state, but still performing at a high level.
I wish I could do that. So the keys to victory for NiP, I think, B's got I haven't seen how they've lined up on Dust 2 particularly. I don't know what the ebb and flow is with Arlu since they've changed the team. But, I think B's got to be an absolute, they really need to lock that down, because I know Envyus are very good at getting on that bomb site with, the entry fraggers that they've got there. If there's any little pixel that they can click on, that's a big risk. So I think, if they can get a good crossfire going on A, and B's, locked down, I think they can have a very solid CT side. They are good defensively. I think they're better defensively than they are aggressively, which is why this is going to be an interesting contrast, because obviously I'd say Envyus are the other way around. So I still think, like I say, NiP can do this with a solid defensive CT setup.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about NiP's roster changes. And again, is Alu the answer? Was Makalele the answer? They have not won any sort of major tournament since Vifloren left, right? So again, second place again in Poland. Second place, both majors with 2 different new guys. But have they found the right mix, you think?
The problem with it is, when you say the answer, presumably the answer is become the old NiP, win the major, become the best team in the world. Potentially, that's what they can't do at the moment, I think both of those players have been the answer in their own way. Alu played well in the final. He was one of the few shining lights when someone like Forrest was playing terribly. I'm still not sure that he's better than Makalele for the team. He might be a better individual player, but they had more of those magical series with Makalele. I mean, they may have played more tournaments, but they had these 2 tournament runs that were just incredible. The teams they beat, how close they were to winning them. I haven't seen that level quite yet from them with Alu. They had some games of it, but I don't know whether they'll be better in that sense. Are either of them the answer to becoming the best team in the world? It seems like not. As far as we can tell at the moment, the evidence says no. They can get close, they can have an amazing game, but actually, in a weird way, that can be a downside. If everything goes right for you, have all these amazing guys, this amazing performance, and then you don't win, it's well, what's going to happen every day of the week when you play that tournament next time, and you don't have this sick run? A key quality of the greatest teams ever, if you look at the teams that have dominated and won world championships over and over, is their kind of 7 out of 10 level game can still win the tournament. If it takes your 10 out of 10 level, and even then sometimes you don't, I'm a bit concerned for you there. I still think they're a great team. They're really fun to watch. Either of those players, it looks like they retain a lot of their style, so I don't mind keeping either. I think either's a valid route, but I don't know if they'll become the best team with him, because at the moment, forget Envy, Fnatic looks like they're going to have it over them in terms of in the long run. Maybe NiP could win a tournament, but I think I'd put my money on Fnatic to win more and to be the #1 team.
Yeah, I think Duncan's absolutely right. It's all about your plan B, isn't it, when you're a top team, because you're never going to have it all your own way. It's what you can go to when the chips are down. And famously with NiP, when the chips were down, they could always come up trumps. And we haven't seen that same level of resilience since they've made the changes. I'm glad you agree on the Makalele point, actually, because I came in for a lot of criticism for saying I think they looked a much stronger team with Makalele in it. Once he started finding his feet and finding his rhythm. That said, I do agree Arlu probably is a strong individual player. If we were talking 1v1, on an A map or whatever. But sometimes that isn't always the answer. I think NiP, they need to now just accept that Arlu is that player. Apparently, everyone in NiP is super happy with him because he's calm, he's collected, he doesn't rage, he doesn't get angry, he doesn't get phased. He sits there and he fills the support role that Vifloren used to do. And that's what when you've got to get right, you don't bring another fragger into the team. When you've got a Forest, you don't need another fragger. when you've got Exist, you know, a great brain. What they needed was somebody that was going to be a water boy and do all the, you know, the less glamorous work. That's what Fifth was. That's why it worked. All the people saying Fifth should have gone, they don't understand a team dynamic, a team component. But you know, you can see Alu fitting into that role, and he's learning the ropes and learning what it takes to be a great support player. But at the moment, yeah, they are a level below where they should be.
Yeah.
I think NiP can still win this tournament overall. I think they can still win this series with what they've got. I think they've got more than enough to beat the Envyuses and the Virtus Pros.
Yeah, and even if this is group, they can lose twice. So even if they do lose this, they're not done yet.
No, to contrast the two players, think of it like this, okay? When NiP had Makalele, if Makalele had a big game, they were going to win that game. They would win that map.
And comfortably.
But when Alu had a crazy final, they still lost in narrow fashion. That's the difference. They both are having great games there. In fact, I might even say that I don't think Makalele ever had a series that was as good as Alu's final was there. The difference was they would win the big series. They would beat Fnatic in the MLG semi-final, whereas I don't see the same impact within the team from Alu, which isn't necessarily his fault. It's more like, how does he fit in the team? What do they use him for? So that's the question mark for NiP going forwards. Luckily, I think their levels similar, so I think they can still have similar victories and similar losses. So it's not like they're going to have to regret and think back over the Makalele one. But personally, stylistically, I would have gone with Makalele over it. Apparently, it was an in-game issue, though, kind of what he alluded to there. They wanted like a calmer presence and this sort of, so maybe it's the case that that's what they think that will make the other players play better because they'll be more in their zone, where as opposed to someone who's kind of a bit hyphy, a bit like over energetic. Maybe that brings like a nervous energy to other people. I could see that, but just looking from the outside, I can only see inside the server, and so I just go on what I saw there. And I thought Makalele was a little bit of a better fit.
Yeah, and I talked to Alu a little bit yesterday, and one of his issues still, which I think does play into it, is the language barrier. He knows Swedish, he's learning Swedish more and more, but he said in Poland, it's taken him that extra second or two to internally translate what his teammates said, and that can get you killed.
Yeah,
right?
At this level, a second is everything.
Yeah. I actually watched when they did one of those FP VOD games out. Well, the VOD came out where it was from NiP's point of view, and you could hear the comms. And actually, they spoke to him quite a lot in English.
Yeah, that's what he said. He basically said they have to. So he says once he gets more comfortable, that communication is quicker, right? And again, those seconds of rotations and all that can be the round win or loss. So that will come in time too, which maybe makes him fit even better with the team.
Although I have to say that was one thing that I did like about Alu being in the team, because they spoke in English. It meant I didn't have to wait for subtitles. There's some great quotes.
It made the POVs really good.
There was a quote where I can't remember who it was played. I think it might have been Envy played Cash against NiP, and then when NiP were beating him heavily, Exist had a line where he was like, "Don't ever pick Cash against me, motherfucker." That's like some line where he said that in the
from Exist.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
He thought he was like Stallone or something.
Yeah,
action movie. Like
brilliant.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. We're going to get right to map 2. It is Dust 2. Do or die in the sense of this match for NiP, but obviously they're not out of the tournament. Double elimination group play. Envy is up 1-0. We'll see Vendetta and Semler. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Scoots. So, second
2.
map. That's it. We actually made it. And, well, I guess, we kind of look just a little silly, right? Because it's like NiP all the way. NiP have got this. Envy are not in a good state of mind. I mean, they may not be in a good state of mind, but that certainly didn't stop them from hitting some pretty sick shots on Inferno, at least. So Envy showing up in fine fettle. They're looking very good. What do you think of the matchup that we're about to have here on the second map on Dust 2?
Well, I mean, Dust 2 is, I think, well, it has to go better for NiP, no doubt. And I think it more or less comes down to whether or not they're able to do well, if they're able to get Alu going and if they're able to get Forrest going with the orbs, if that's actually going to work for them, that double orb setup on the CT side. Obviously, again, Envy, we saw them play Dust 2 versus Property. They had, an okay game in that sense. They looked way better on Cash in the second map, really, versus Property. But I think, Envy's going to do what Envy does on Dust 2, and it's really down to whether or not NiP are able to combat that, because I think if NiP show up like they did on the first map, they're just going to get trounced again, and it's going to be fairly easy victory for Envy. That's really what it comes down to.
If NiP end up having to start on that T side, right, have to work their way in somehow.
Yeah, I don't necessarily that thing is going to be that much of a downside for them. I mean, that might actually be what they need, just the ability to roam around and run around freely and kind of get into it in a sense. I mean, obviously it would help quite a bit to win the pistol and, not lose to an eco. That would go a long way because they're struggling with that quite a bit, and Envy are probably the best team in the world at actually bringing those rounds back because they do it so consistently.
Well, as far as these teams are concerned, I imagine Envy. I think we saw it there where Envy won the knife round. So I think that they will be getting to pick. And I imagine that they'll be starting on that CT side. So starting off on the now favored side for Dust 2. But yeah, here we have it. You know, Envy already set up on that CT side. This is not, you know, like the second round, guys. Don't worry, they can't afford Scar 20s that fast. But they're just kind of going wild right now. This is the warm up, the chaos, the calm. Chaos before the storm, I guess. I don't know, somehow that works.
Yeah.
As far as the actual setups are concerned, there is also a very strong double op opportunity here for Envy as well, just because of Smith and Shox. But it seems like Shox, at least recently, Envy have been favoring him with the AWP on Dust 2. They've been giving it to him to hold over on that A site, hold on A slope, watch that cat area with it. And so it seems like Shox is getting priority there, and then if they want to go for the double AWP, then Smith gets included to hold down that B site. So what do you make of that strat so far? I mean, what do you think of Shoxy's form with the sniper rifle?
I mean, obviously it's been working pretty well for them as of late, which is why they've, you know, stuck to it. I think mainly you'll see Smiths pick up an op when they feel secure money-wise. Well, they know it's not a massive risk, because obviously going into an investment such as a double AWP right away, that could even make or break you completely, depending on the situation. So, you know, understandable choice from Envyus, especially because you have Shox, who's a very capable, and he can cover more ground than what Smith would be able to do from his mid position. Because Shox is going to roam back and forth between long and cover short, and also have the opportunity to actually be able to help out from mid as well if you see any of those, you know, classic B splits from NiP. So I think it's just a safer choice in that sense, instead of having Smith actively trying to find frags with his op in mid.
They're not wasting any time, however. It is going to be a bit of a long push coming in here. There it is, the double push into Upper Dark, and they're going to walk right into the crossfire. They're waiting for him. Exist still picks up one, though. Smith takes out Alu. But that was a kill over on long. They are going to be able to get control of Upper Dark now, NiP. And Kyoshima, he still makes it out of there intact. So that's a big save there. The fact that he stays alive with 1 HP, so close.
Yeah, and you can tell that NiP had, you know, a very clear idea of what Envy was doing. It's the exact same pistol round that Envy did versus Property in their first game. Happy does pick up Exist, but the bomb set is NiP's to take right now, and well, as long as Happy doesn't catch anyone off, this could be a very good round for NiP, and as I say that, it's only MBK left with the ZZ, and like at this point, he doesn't have enough bullets to kill them all.
He doesn't do it, and Forrest, he's going to have a fantastic round here. 2 kills to just secure that A site. But just to clarify, this is actually NiP's map pick. This is their map. Yeah. Inferno was Envy's. So far, Envy, they trounced them on Inferno. That was their map, great. But already, NiP off to a pretty fantastic start here in this first round. Or the first half of overtime, rather. Are we going to get the tag back? I mean, Smith is just attempting to put shots through into secret, or rather secret suicide, but he's not quite finding the angle. Instead, it's Forrest with that MAC-10. Happy is going to take him out. Freiberg will find Happy, however, it's just back and forth. Total brawl here happening on the A site, but Freiberg is going to get sharp about it. He's going to start landing those headshots. He gets tagged there, down to 9 HP. Instead, it's Alu who's going to get caught here by Kyoshima. Kyoshima now with the scout if he wants to use it, but get right, this lurk will work. And he'll be able to pick up that kill.
And yeah, finally we've seen NiP actually hold up for an Antaika round, which is really good for them. Envyus didn't really get that much going at all. I would say that Dust 2 is probably one of the easy maps to actually do this on, because you know the freedom that you have as a T, as long as you don't blindly run into stacks. And right now we see NiP trying to get quick control along, and they seem to want to keep a high pace really in these Santa Ecos so far.
Exactly. Pistol round, second round, now the third round. They aren't wasting much time. Well, that's still not going to stop Smith from picking off Alu as he gets across. Happy is going to find Freiberg now. Lots of damage being dealt here, and Get Right will hunt down Shoxy. He has the bomb as well, so he should be able to get the bomb plant eventually. But NBK's now got an AK to use, so this is going to be a little bit of additional firepower here on the Envy side. And there you go, that's exactly what it's good for. NBK takes out Forrest, who is holding on to long, and now it gets awkward. It gets really dangerous. Exist is now the last man alive here for NiP. He gets the headshot, but that's not good enough. 1v4, and Envy will manage to win it. Then we just cursed them. They're just like, oh man, NiP are doing so good holding in these anti-eco rounds, and then they lose to P250s.
Yeah, I mean, the disappointing thing is that how it all started with Smith picking up that first frag was 2 poor smokes. basically had 2 smokes covering the same area. It was still a gap for Smith to actually watch through, and that, you know, that just kind of snowballed everything for Envyus. Yeah, again, they did kind of. Yeah, I mean that's a round NiP should win, and it's, you know, down to their own mistakes. But then again, you know, give credit where credit is due. It's still a great job from Envyus, because they did not decide to do, you know, the typical force-up thing again.
Yeah, they gave a little ground. I was actually surprised to see them go for 3 P250s. This is an extra $300 investment, you know, per player that they have to put into that when they're already fairly low. So Envy taking a little bit of a risk, and that time it paid off magnificently. They even saved the guns as well. 3 AKs now on their side. That's a lot of money that they're going to be able to hold on to for future rounds, not having to spend 3,100 on a Colt, right? So this is going to be just NiP going for a very quick push up the B slope, straight out onto the site, but they get bogged down. There's enough time for Kyoshima to throw up a smoke, and that's going to funnel them in through the window. Smith just back and forth fragging, but it's still a 3-on-3 here, and this has bought a lot of time for Envy to rotate that extra man in. Happy is right on top of that window already. Get right with the perfect angle, however, an upper dark. Predictable angle. Shoxy saw it coming. And NBK now knows, okay, there's somebody up here, which he should expect, but that's a big kill from Get Right to slow things down. It's hard enough retaking on B when you're even. If you're behind, it becomes nigh impossible.
That's a great job from NiP to actually get back on, you know, back on the horse there, and you know, even though, you know, that was obviously a force play for them, but this is something they've done several times actually. They've made it sure that their investments, even when they win, you know, pistol, you know, in the second and third round, aren't going to be that big to the point where, like, for instance, Alu is always going to be able to buy an AWP regardless, and we saw that during Poland as well. And there goes Sprybeck, you know, not the most likely sniper for NiP, but yeah, picks up the first frag just to spawn.
And even tags NBK through that as well.
Yeah.
Alu's going to be able to catch NBK jumping there with the scout. No lucky plays there for NBK this time around. Shoxy instead now. It's going to be the one holding close, but he gets spotted out by Get Right. Get Right through the smoke, just manages to pick him off, and that's a 2-man lead now for NiP. Envyus should just be backing off. Kyoshima's going to go rushing up Cat, though, seeing if he can't get anything done here. Catch somebody out of position. That does not seem likely. Seems like everybody on NiP are content to just sit back as far as they can and hold very passively here. If Envy want to take a fight, they're going to have to step into the crosshairs and just go brute force, and that's not going to fly. Although Happy right now, his position, this could pay off. Exist is going to crouch his way around the corner, and they both basically drop each other down to sub 10 HP. Whoa, way too close.
Way too close, actually, yeah. Obviously for Exist, it's not that big of a loss if he goes down. You know, it's a bigger victory for NiP if Happy dies.
But there we have it. 4 rounds on the board now for NiP on their T side. And they actually managed to keep a reasonable number of rifles alive as well, so they're starting to develop that bank.
Yeah, and the big thing now is that we're actually going to see the double AWP setup that we talked about come out, and this is where, you know, it gets really rough for Envy if NiP get going. I mean, one of the worrying things though, like, both times we've seen NiP play towards the long area, their crossover smokes have been shoddy. There has been gaps in them, and if, you know, they have to lurk, you know, remove those kind of mistakes if you actually want to make sure you're going to win.
Absolutely. I mean, right now it is going to be just, again, the push up Cat this time, really trying to change up that angle. Happy, wild spray, just drops Freiberg down to 7, and then he gets a bullet to the face. That is Smith taken out. Happy at next. Shoxy with a great backstab here with the CZ75. It's going to take ages for him to reload, but he somehow gets it. And gets the kill onto Forrest as well. Does not hit that shot, but Kyoshima is there to save it. And we're into a 2-on-2, and the bomb has only just now been planted. There's time for Envy to act. A site is totally different from B site, way more open, but Exist tracking him through that box. He knows exactly where Kyoshima is. Caught in Gandalf now, and Kyoshima kind of hesitating, trying to look for this headshot, if he's going to get it or not, but he does in the end. Exist just stands right up into it, and Shoxy takes out Get Right on long in the meantime.
Yeah, a solid retake from Envy, but NiP are necessarily peaking. I mean, there was no reason for Get Right to actually push up so far out that he could get caught. He could basically just hang around, you know, hang around in spawn, and basically come out whenever Exist says that he needs help. Because all they have to do is play for time at that, you know, at that particular time.
Was the bomb planted for Cat?
It was not, as far as I can remember.
No.
Plant on site.
It was planted on site, yeah, okay. Oh, nice tag onto Kyoshima to start, though. Alu hasn't had the most luck with the AWP to start so far, but that is a good, shot right there. That will do some damage. So you guys can see he's down to 19, and that could influence NiP now with the decision making. They know perhaps that one guy has been tagged on the B site, so it's going to take a little bit less, to get onto that site if they get into that straight up fight. So maybe we shall see NiP go for another B split push, because it seems like right now they're getting control of mid, and they have the gear necessary to do it.
Yeah. If they opt to do a B split push, you're most likely going to see a group of people actually moving into mid before they actually decide to do the execute, basically just to save time and not give Envyus, any more room than necessary to actually do the proper rotations. But as it looks right now, it seems like Ali is going to be the point guy to get an entry pick towards the B bomb site.
They're going for it. They're going for it. Look at the boost. This is very sneaky stuff. This is very sneaky stuff. They know that Shoxy likes to hold on a slope. That's what they're looking for right now. Are they going to be able to actually find anybody, though? That's the big question. They're just trying to find an angle, something to work with. The smoke is going to be clearing, and there is no longer an opportunity, apart from just taking the straight-up brute force method. But it does look like NiP, they are going to wind up on this A site. 20 seconds left. That's not enough time. They have to hit this shot and run. But Envy, both of them going to miss, in fact. Exist will take out Happy in the meantime, who is lurking in CT. Exist just going to relentlessly hunt Shoxy down. Good spray there at long. And with 10 seconds left, that bomb gets planted just in the nick of time.
No, it's just as, and finally get right Slurk once again successful at long, and yeah, just become a really easy retake easy take of the bomb site for NiP. As soon as Shox misses that first shot from the cars, it becomes an extremely tough thing to deal with for Envyus. They pretty much need to get 1 or 2 kills there to actually hold NiP off the site. And I'm actually surprised, because you see a ton of Opus actually position themselves in that, around that area where Shox did, and you see so many of them actually miss shot after shot after shot until they get pushed all the way back at long. And obviously, if you're playing NiP, just know that get right's going to show up there, at some point. So then, you're obviously trapped as well. It's not a great position to be in.
No, it is a bit rough. That's why I was really curious to see if he was going to be pushing onto A slope at all. Or if he's usually holding on A slope, right? It gives you a little bit more control, I suppose. A bit more of a straight line taking that shot with the AWP. That is some very tricky stuff. Something else that's tricky is, getting shot in the face by Exist. Shox is out, get right, great spray, long range onto Happy, catches him out before he can get onto Catwalk. And now NBK holding on CT, turns away for the flash, and still manages to turn around and take out Get Right. So that's a good kill there. But it is, in the end, not ideal for Envy. It does seem like, once again, they're going to be looking to save these guns. They don't want to take this fight if they can avoid it. They should have the money to buy up again in the next round. So they may lurk a little bit just to see if they can't get an exit, but ideally the plan is hold on to the guns, be able to drop them for the teammates in the next round here.
Yeah, and you can see that NiP are slowly moving their way towards T-spawn and whatnot. They probably have the opportunity to actually hunt after Envy, but if they realize the fact that, well, Envy is going to probably be able to buy up regardless of what we do in the following round, that they'll just come to the conclusion of it not being worth it.
Curious to see what they have in store for us next, because it really does seem pretty standard. Apart from the smoke boost, NiP, a lot of it does seem like we're just going to go over here, take a peek, get a kill, somebody dies, great, go for it, right? And speed up behind that. The fast pace at the beginning, but then also here now getting into the mid of the half, starting to go off those entries. And NiP, once they get the entries, they're so tough to stop.
Yeah, and one of the things that we remember from, if you caught the TSM versus NiP game on Dust 2, was the fact that TSM gave way too much space for NiP to work around. So they basically just give Catwalk and let NiP do whatever they wanted from Catwalk. And it's a very similar thing that's actually going on right now. NiP have been able to set up so many of their executes towards the bomb site on Catwalk without too much of resistance really coming out from Envy, and I don't think you can allow that from your side if you want to beat NiP, because they're really effective once they get up into that close of a position.
That's a very good point. It's a very good point to make, in fact. It does seem like Envy are a little rattled here.
And it's surprising because, they looked so dominant on Inferno, and it definitely looked like it was NiP who were the rattled ones. So they're going to come back into it. Obviously, this is it's really a great feeling to have that good start on the T side and just get the ball rolling. And now they're going to pick up the 7th round already. And I'm not really sure if they're actually going to allow Happy to save this even, because NiP have a ton of money at this point, so they can just freely throw away their weapons.
Yeah, they should be running after him, actually. And it does look like now, okay, that's the decision. They check on the bomb again just to make sure that there isn't any kind of shenanigans happening. And now, Happy, they're going to be trying to hunt him down. Bomb is just about to go up, and there's a man waiting around the corner. They're just slowly closing in. Are they going to be able to actually find him, though? Solid angle here by Happy. And, oh man, just barely saved by the clock. So now the question, I mean, well, like, there is no question, really. They don't have enough to force. They don't actually have enough. Shoxy's the only one with a little bit of bank, and the way that he spends it is just CZ and Kevlar, and then cross your fingers and hope you can get close range on somebody.
Yeah, not the worst idea in the world ever, you know. So, but yeah, can see NiP. Seems like NiP are really liking the high pace when they know they're up against an eco here, and Forrest already picking up one frag here. It's going to get replied on by Happy, but you know, at this point they already knew that was 3 people committed to the B bomb site from Envy, so we can freely move up on long.
Freiburg in the meantime takes out NBK, who was lurking on Cat. Potential backstab opportunity here for Happy, and Happy puts that M4 to use, the one that he's been holding on to forever. Gets caught in the end by Get Right on Cat. And the last member here is Kyoshima, who did manage to pick up the AK. I believe that was dropped by Forrest earlier. So he will have a gun to work with. If he wants, he can hold on to it, but I think he really is waiting to see. Can he pick somebody up? And he's not going to get it done. Get Right crouches right around the corner. Ooh, Get Right shooting at the body as well. I thought that Get Right was pissed when people did that to him. Is he thinking like, oh yeah, it's all right if I do it, that's fine?
Maybe it's like just some sort of revenge from previous game. Who knows?
Well, Happy loves to do that, right?
Yeah. Well, Smith, you should have seen Smith's actually on Cash versus Property.
Do that as well. And Garrett's like, you guys still do that? Well,
in any case, buy up brand for Envyus. I mean, they're in a similar situation as to what we saw NiP found themselves in on Inferno. This is kind of a must-win round if they want to have a shot at having an okay half.
This is now it, and there you go, Shoxy. He lets them get up onto that side practically. We will have Exist manage to sneak his way forward, and it looks like it's going to be a cat plant here. Get Right pushing forward in CT. Shoxy adjusts his aim just in time to pick up that kill. Very close call there. And maintaining the man advantage here is so important for Envy. They need to get up onto this site. They need to get the defuse. And there you go. Shoxy spots him out, but he does not connect. And in the meantime, you still have Alu alive, although, as I said, he gets picked off by Kyoshima. Forrest now long range is going to be able to take out Kyoshima, but the pressure is mounting, and Exist is going to get caught out on that site. 3 members alive for Envy at the end of that retake, and that was just very clean. Starting with 4, winding up with 3, that's everything going your way right there.
Yeah, and through all of that time, Shox actually managed to stay alive. This time around, actually picks up the entry frag onto Freiburg, you know, instead of missing 2 or 3 shots and having to fall back, so he's actually able to maintain position and put more pressure. Even though he's not, you know, necessarily getting more kills, he's actually just keeping NiP focused on that potential threat at long.
Then he gets the follow-up as well on Get Right.
Yeah,
I think that's the big thing.
Exactly.
I thought for a second that he would still be scoped up on site and just, you know, completely miss that, and Get Right would get a freebie. Shoxy, that was a solid round. That's what we need to see from him. As far as NiP are concerned, though, they're perfectly happy. I mean, they can still take control of everything. They've got 8 rounds on their T side. That is fantastic as far as the current meta is concerned.
Yeah, they're doing a fine job right now. And again, you know, Envy giving up control towards short, and I wouldn't be too surprised if the guys along are actually going to commit to this.
Oh, and there it is, the double spray, or at least the single. Alu is still alive here.
But
they've got control of bomb, exactly. That's the big deal. Forrest is trying to click away, and he's not going to be able to find that headshot in pit. Instead, they're going to look for the rotator, and they do manage to catch Kyoshima out in CT, so that's a good kill there. Brings it back to a 4-on-3 at least. Now a 3-on-3 as Alu catches Happy, who was trying to push him through long. So now, 40 seconds left, and NiP still need to get their hands on this bomb somehow. A fresh smoke going down is certainly not going to help things either.
Yeah, when that smoke goes out, there's going to be about 17 seconds left. And obviously you don't have too many places to go at that point, so it's going to have to be towards A. And Smith's picking up Forrest there. This is going to be really tough, actually.
He gets the second one, he clears up Freiburg, and now, yeah, that's it. Alu decides to just back off and hold on to his gun. An impossible situation. He's still willing to try and take this fight, actually, and he will win it. Takes out Smith with a wall bang, so nice shot there by Alu. But now they know where he is, and they're trying to close in on him. I don't know if Envy should be running too hard after this though, because this is already a pretty costly round for them. They aren't sitting on big money at all. Whereas like if Alu loses his AWP, it's like, okay, well, you know, like Get Right's got 10,000, Exist has got 11,000. You know, it's not a problem if he loses it. Whereas 3750 and only 6K on Jocks, you kind of want to hold on to the guns on Envy's side right now.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, you kind of have to. And again, yeah, Envy giving up so much room as Alu actually gaps Smiths. I mean, Envy are giving up so much room on catwalks. You would assume that NiP consistently goes back to that to see what they're able to do with it, as Shox picks up a Get Right as well. And I would have imagined in the previous round that they actually would have put on the pressure from catwalk before they actually committed to the long push, especially if you have the bomb that long. So a bit of a different take on it, I guess, coming out from NiP.
And take here as well. They kind of snuck their way out onto the B side. It looks like Kyoshima got caught out by Get Right, as we saw. So now, or not by Get Right, rather by Forest. Instead, it's going to be Shoxy trying to push through smoke. NBK, and that looked very odd indeed. NBK looked like he was getting name punched all over the place. Happy now with his AWP, tags him through the box. Does he go for the HE? Touchdown nade? Too far. Not going to happen, and the bullet misses as well. So NiP get up onto 9 rounds here, and that is just solid work for the Swedes. They are just getting further and further ahead on this map.
Yeah, right now, I mean, you're going to be, you know, over the moon with the way you've played in this T half. And I guess, yeah, you know, Spryberg and Get Right, who are continuing to show good form. They were actually, you know, in the end, two of the best performers on Inferno. Not that that's saying a lot with how that map went, but yeah.
Happy.
And the dangerous ZZs are out for Envyus again.
Happy is still just so lethal, and there's Shoxy. I mean, just the running crouch. Forest, no time to react. Get Right trying to find the headshot here on a slope. And that's NBK doing the best he can to buy time. He's got that P250. He's up close as well. That bomb has not been caught yet, but the backstab is coming in here from Smith. The smoke is just buying so much time. And there it is, man. Just peeks up, takes out Exist. This is big. Once again, NiP struggling in an anti-eco round. This would be such a huge win for Envy, and they're going to pick it up in the end. Smith and NBK picking up the remaining 2 frags. A full set of guns going into the 15th round of this half. That is stellar. And that's actually going to really mess with NiP as far as their money. I mean, they have enough to get a full buy, I think, to be able to get everybody on board. Apart from Exist, who's going to be a little bit light on nades, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, and for NiP, it's not the biggest worry in the world, seeing how it is the last round of the half, so, you know, getting guns is pretty much the priority at that point.
Now it's all about stopping this from being a 10-5. If Envy can, you know, get 6 rounds, it's almost as if Thorin, you know, was able to predict this. 9-6, does it happen? I mean, Envy are looking pretty good coming back into this, but NiP are also looking like they have no pressure on their shoulders right now, and that's the best position, or that's the best situation to find yourself in. I think they realize that Get Right is there, and there's the spray by Shoxy, man, just to root him out of that long house. Smith is there at mid, and he's taking the shots. He is getting caught somewhat here. He has to back off, and he will have the support of Kyoshima as well, so not too shabby there.
Problem for NiP right now, well, you know, even though they're 2 people, Exist is down to 3 HP, so he's not going to be able to do anything at all unless he instantly connects with people, and then Smith takes him out for his second kill of the game, or second kill of the round. Right now, Forrest is in a world of trouble.
And there you have it. Shoxy walks through that smoke, and CT manages to pick up the kill, and there you have it, guys. That is going to be the end of the first half. 9-6. I mean, do you reckon 6 rounds is enough for Envy going into it? I mean, that seems like an inordinate number of T rounds actually picked up by NiP so far on this map, on their map, actually.
I mean, honestly, it really just feels like what we saw in Dust 2, you know, if you go back maybe a tad bit more than a year. Like, that would be a completely normal score for Dust 2. And
you're right,
it's
actually,
just like, you know, as of late, we've been more and more leaning towards, you know, Dust 2 being favored for CTs, or at least, you know, that's how the results play out, at least. So I'm not really worried for Envy. They have every possibility in the world to actually make it back from this. And again, you know, 2 well-versed teams that actually play a ton of games against each other and all that. They're going to know, you know, what each other do, and that's obviously going to have an effect on how, you know, a map is normally played at and how that might vary from it.
I think it's going to be quite some time as well before we start seeing anything really new coming out from these teams because they have such packed schedules as well. I mean, they're coming out of Katowice. They had that 10-day boot camp, at least on Envy's side, right? A 10-day boot camp before Katowice, then they're coming here, and then they have a tournament next week, Star Series, and then so it's going to be a bit rough as far as developing new strategies, trying to refresh your game a little bit. They aren't going to have much time between the travel event. So. Yeah. Might be a little bit before we actually start seeing anything crazy coming out from these teams to revitalize things.
Exactly, and you can already see the issue that Envy runs into. Their pistol.
Yeah, they get figured out. They get just cold cocked, like hard countered right there.
Exactly. Right now, pistol gone. Shock's just moving straight up onto Cat, and actually NiP put heavy focus on mid here with 3 people there. So Shock's is actually going to get onto the site unscathed, and this is going to end up being something that you don't see quite often, which is a 5-man retake from the CT team.
I was about to say, a 5-man retake, okay. Headshots from Get Right, it's kind of dime a dozen. That happens all the time, right? But now it's going to be the rush through. Happy doing his lurk. Gets that kill, manages to pick up another one, and there it is! Happy annihilates NiP! 3 kills in the blink of an eye. And now he's looking for that 4th. He wants to get that final frag. Exist, however, does manage to turn this into a 1v2, but Shoxy, he's the insurance. He's still alive on this side, just trying to draw attention, making sure that Exist can't get too comfortable here, trying to figure out where they are, looking like they want to line up that shot. Exist not quite able to find the headshot, and he will walk into Shoxy's crosshairs in the end. But Happy, that is the master play right there that manages to turn everything around.
Yeah, I mean, everything just lined up perfectly for him, really. First guy, obviously, no idea that he's coming there, and then as he turns the corner while just firing away, just everybody seems to just line up exactly where he wants them to. So yeah, Envy pick up the pistol round, and this is the good stuff that we talked about. They could very easily just even everything out and just look at it, that we're going from scratch from that point on.
Yeah, this is the hard reset. You're right. They're looking like they can, or they're looking like they wanted to pressure Get Right a little bit there. See if they couldn't get rid of him. Freiberg, Shoxy's just going to get rid of him through the smoke. There you go. Get Right is gone. But Freiberg was trying to make something happen up on Cat with the Deagle as well, just seeing if he couldn't find that headshot, and he did a lot of damage to NBK. But unfortunately for him, did not get that kill in the end. So now the question is, where exactly do Envy want to take this? Shoxy's listening right now to hear if anybody makes a mistake of taking a step in mid. They could give things away, or give the information away, rather. That bomb is kind of hesitating on Cat right now. They're going to be able to clear out this A site, and it does look like eventually this will turn into an A plant.
Yeah, and well, they kind of used like Hiroshima to just bait things out and work as a bit of a lure. See if anyone would pop out, a potential stack from NiP or something to that effect, because Kyo had only, invested in a Tech 9 at that point. Yeah, just safe and sound play from Envy. They don't want to take any unnecessary risks and lose too many weapons. And as of right now, only Smiths are going down, and all Exist can really hope for is, to save a scout.
Shoxy nearly kills himself jumping off there into CT. That would have been a bit unfortunate. It's like, I've got him, guys, and then, wait, my ankles. There we go. All right, Envy now, I mean, this is kind of going according to plan. But now this is where Envy were able to turn things around versus NiP and win a round, if I'm not mistaken. 3rd round, they had the P250, 3 P250s, and Envy were able to pick up that win. Now can NiP do the same? They did not invest in pistols this round, so it's nothing but the factory standard issue. And it looks like instead Envy are going to be gathering up, grouping up, and working their way towards B. But they should know now that there's 3 guys in mid. And there you go. Instant rotation coming out. They did work a man up on long as well. Happy has cleared this part of the map out. Instead, now it's going to come down to NBK just trying to buy time for his teammates. He's got a smoke. He could try and use it, but does not want to waste the time taking the finger off the trigger. He's going to get 2, looking for a 3rd, and he's going to get it as well. Lots of money into his pocket. Shoxy's going to find the last one on Alu, but that was a fantastic way, or just survival play, basically, from NBK. And a lot of money in his pocket, too. 8,600 at the end of that. That is big.
Yeah, that's a nice bank to have at this point of the game. And, well, we're not going to see the double upset of coming out of NiP right away, but we do see Alu picking up that up. And, yeah, this is where it starts to get really, really important for both teams.
What I wonder about is why, if NBK does have $8 grand in the bank, why is he not just handing over an AWP to Smiths or Sox? Seems like Envy are looking to stay a little bit more mobile here.
Yeah, exactly. They want to be on the go, and Well, maybe that's a sign that they don't actually want to, you know, take the challenge of a potential double up setup from NiP, and you know, instead of just facing them head on, they just want to use smokes and the ability to get, you know, close to them instead of just going op versus op.
Let's see already. Great flashes already to force Alu back around that corner. He's going to have to focus on Longhouse now as Envy move their way up onto the side. Get right on A slope, and Alu, both of them landing big shots. But Kiyoshima returns with 2 headshots, takes them out, and this is big now. NBK coming in with a zone, and this is now a man advantage for Envy. Make that a 2-man advantage? No, just a single one, as Alu is able to return and take out Happy. But it's just exist, and he just gets caught, goes for a jump trying to get information. He just gets slapped down by NBK at the end. At Envy have certainly turned this around. Their T side is just looking so on point right now. The aggression, they're not holding back.
Yeah, and you know, brilliant individual stuff from Kiyoshima right there. If he doesn't pick up those 2 frags instantly, you know, that's almost certainly an NiP retake without too much of an issue.
Instead, it is Envy just continuing to pressure. This time around, NiP have actually invested in some pistols, though. They have some money, so they've gone ahead, jumped up to some CZs, a Deagle on Freiburg, of course, no surprise there. Now the question is, you know, did he bring Huandig with him or not? Should be looking for it. There it is. Damage dealt to Happy. With that AWP, scary moment here for Happy as well. Shoxy's going to get caught by Freiburg eventually over on that A site. So there's a gun that now Envy have to worry about NiP picking up. So we'll see if they decide to manage that or how they decide to manage that with this double AWP play versus pistols. I mean, Envy, this is not something you see too often. Smith has taken out Freiburg, though, so looks like they're not too worried about that, but there's a push coming in through mid. The flank coming in from Forrest, it looks like, or is that Get Right? Looks like Get Right just doing his thing, but he gets caught out by Smith with that Tech 9, and NBK is just clearing house, takes out the B site completely, and Alu is now the last man alive. Gets a bit of a running headshot there, though, so he's going to be able to pressure Smith, and that's one of the AWPs down, but NBK luckily is in position to hold on to this, and he's going to be able to save that gun as well. So good recovery there by Envy once it started getting a little dicey.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is going to be the tell, yeah, exactly, whether or not we're going to see the double up setup from NiP, and you know, this is it for them, because this is such a heavy investment for them that if they lose this, they're not going to have the opportunity to really do a proper force buy if they want to, and we're actually going to see double up setups from double ups from Envy as well, and it might actually end up being this more static game that we kind of foresaw, where you have op on op action.
And I love the fact that Forrest is pre-aiming that spot. He was looking up there waiting for that boost. That's incredible. You know, Envy trying to get 1 step ahead, but Forrest already he's 2 steps ahead. He's just waiting for you to take that decision. Doesn't land the shot, but still puts Envy on notice. Says, hey, you know, your tricks, your wiles, I know them. Don't get cute.
Ooh.
I heard that in the crowd too. That was pretty cool. Ooh, but that is harsh right there. Kiyoshima just lighting him up. Happy misses a bit of a shot. Snap decision, but he just lays Exist out in Upper Dark, and that bomb just got planted on the A site. Now the question is, do NiP decide to go for the retake then?
It's really tough, but they do know that they have kind of isolated one of the players in Happy over towards the B bomb site, so if they're quick enough, they could actually have a really good shot at doing this, but when Kyo does stuff like that, it's pretty tough.
Makes it look so easy as well. First guy right on the edge of the smoke, but the second one, you just see that like hard reset where he's just like, nope, stop spraying, reset, pull the trigger, done.
Yeah, it's just very mechanically done.
Mechanically sound.
Yeah. And another eco coming out from NiP, and this obviously gives Envy the time to bolster their economy and just feel really safe and just get into a really good state of mind.
That groove.
Yeah.
And they can be sure that NiP right now, I mean, NiP, they have that magical quality to them, but it's certainly going to need to kick in pretty soon here for NiP to turn this tide. Freiburg steps up, gets that headshot on Kiyoshima, as we can see. But Alu is going to get shut down by Smith. That's 2 kills now for Smith at the top. A third one there for NBK. Happy trying to do the best that he can, but he will not be picking that last one up. NBK instead is going to be greedy. So 2 for NBK, 2 for Smith. I believe 1 for Shox, or was it Kyo, in this in that round of anti-eco. I mean, such a hard eco from NiP means that they will have enough for the double AWP again. It seems like this is going to be a go-to strat for NiP, that they really do plan on making this work. I just love that Smiths and Happy are able to go toe-to-toe, and they're like, okay, you want 2 ops? We have 2 ops.
Yeah, and you know, yeah, exactly. The fact that it's Smiths and Happy, not necessarily Shux as well, because Shux was the one who initially used the op on the CT side for Envy, and well, you know, that's, I guess, the you know, the benefits of actually having well-rounded players.
Exactly. I mean, hell, NBK can use the op if he absolutely needs to, so you have options there.
Yeah, you absolutely do. And
I mean, many opportunities.
Oh, yeah. Opportunities. But yeah, right now, basically, it's a waiting game because, well, a lot of what NiP are trying to do is going to rely heavily on what Alu and Forrest can do for them.
Well, I mean, now the question is whether they're going to be able to stop things up here and close it out. Smith does find Forrest, though. So he opts to take that peek. Freiberg, however, hiding in the pit, looking for that headshot, and he is going to buy enough time for Get Right to close in on that angle. Now Freiberg is holding as best he can. He gets 2 kills. That's big. Brings it back to a 2-on-2 and drops that bomb over there. It's a Happy now. Lurk roll, of course, just waiting to see if he can catch somebody on the rotation. But NiP are going the long way. They want to go around long. They're going to see if they can't get the backstab in on Shoxy. They know he's hurt.
And Alu should be... Ooh,
that flash timing, perfect flash. And there's the shot from Happy as well. Lights out for NiP.
Yeah, that was just very well done by Envyus. Obviously, you know, might have been a tad bit lucky with the timing shots with that flash, but obviously worked like a charm, and what would have been a really easy kill for Alu ends up in, you know, a complete disaster for NiP.
Oh. Yeah, exactly right. Man, I mean, it's really difficult to see what NiP can do now to get back into this. They go for the force buy, of course, right? But it's they're so broke that, yeah, it's exist on a Pro 90. Freiberg, no Kevlar. You know, all just going glass cannon. This is the extent, the limit that NiP have been pushed to. And Envy, well, will succumb to Alu. Shoxy gets picked off, so there we go. Alu deciding to step in. Get 1 frag in, that's the entry frag there. Molotov is potentially going to be able to clear Exist out. I think he's holding close, though. Yeah, he is holding close. Yeah. That Molotov isn't going to reach him quite.
And as right now, you know, it looks like a potential B split with the 2 guys. Well, you know, unless the guy with the bomb actually joins them in Upper Dark here.
This is a very scary situation here. Happy, is he actually going to be able to check this? Yes, he does. Point blank. And then NBK is there to watch his back as well. Exist gets nothing done. Get Right there with the M4A1, gets flashed and then smoked. Not a thing he could do. And that bomb plant is going to happen here. 4v3 scenario here in NiP. They need to work some magic to come out of this ahead. Happy is just hunting.
Well, Envy are definitely feeling it right now. They, you know, can definitely tell that they are in control, and well, Happy did the same thing on Inferno, really. Well, like when he feels in control, he just goes aggressive and, you know, wants to you know, take it to NiP, and this time it's working around.
Yeah, he just goes wild. And yeah, I mean, now it's just Freiberg. He found, I think it must be Alu's op, you know, so he's just holding on to that at this point.
And that's all we can hope for, really. So, crossing fingers that he won't take the peak towards long. And it seems like he's gonna be able to hold on to that, but obviously a match for Envy, and they've got 6 of them.
Yeah, they have so much room to work with here.
Yeah, and no money for NiP, still obviously having you know, forced up and still lost the round. So this is a tough situation for the Swedes to be in, and Envy are just really...
Nice gap shot, and did he get the tag as well? That looked so close. Happy not going to be able to land that shot, but the Molotov there just looking to press forward and put the pressure on. Kyoshima did make it past to blue, and he's going to be able to catch Freiberg with a nade in his hand. Calamitous turn of events here for NiP. They lost 2 men so early in the round, and the pressure just continues to mount. Envy moving up long, looking to get control of this bomb site. Get Right pinned down behind the box, and that smoke goes down in the nick of time. But that Molotov is going to force him out into the open, and that's just, I mean, NBK, perfect timing, walks up Cat and picks him out clean.
I mean, Envy have been so good at actually doing this so far. Like, it hasn't always necessarily been Happy to be the lurker or backstabber, but you know, the way Envy has actually forced NiP players to get into awkward positions where they will always be open for, you know, one of the 2 sides Envy are pushing. They're just doing that fantastically so far.
That was a nice shot there. Happy did manage to take out Alu, however. And Forrest is now the last man alive. 1v3. Walking up, Cat does not get tagged there. Happy trying to go to work with the P250. Instead, it's going to be Kyoshima. with the AK, a 16-9 win for Envy, and that's just dominant from them. 2-0 in clear fashion.
Yeah, and a very different story from what we saw in Poland. Completely different.
Absolutely. Yeah, just total turn of events. So hard to predict as well with these players because they are capable of, at any time, just turning things around. Yeah. They, in Poland, the semis, you listened and you really felt like something was missing. Seems like space of a week, they've managed to turn it around somewhat. Yeah. They just took out an NiP in a best of 3.
Exactly, and whatever confidence issues they might have been having previously, I think that's long gone.
Yeah, I think that's yeah, exactly. I think that's now going to be something that they could maybe start putting to rest, or laying to rest. Getting a win under their belt. Okay, maybe it wasn't a fluke. I mean, the doubts may set in, but it looks like they're looking pretty good as always. Yeah. So, well, as far as this map is concerned, I think that then is basically Group 1 or Group A, Seed 1 has been sorted now. So NiP, they are going to have to battle it out for the second seed versus either Property, or
Gamers 2.
Gamers 2. That's right, of course. All right, well, let's go ahead and hear from the analysts now.
Yeah,
so that's
a good idea.
Take it away.
All right, thank you, Semler and Vendetta. No awkward high five. You're the big winner. Our high five already made YouTube, so we're going to leave that alone.
Listen, when you win a lot, you get used to it. So it's not really that big a deal,
I'm pretty sure that if we actually looked at the predictions you've got right and the predictions you got wrong, you would be on our Tosis levels.
Oh, shots fired by the loser.
I like the way he's bringing up predictions wrong.
Yeah. He's got to. He's got to scramble.
I get roasted.
Guys, I'm predicting NiP 2-0 here. NiP just lost the first map. I'm going with them for 2-1 here.
Yeah.
I'm still sure they're going to win the map 2-0. Like, other people have gotten predictions wrong sometimes. Not now. Like, okay, what's this segment about? Isn't it about the match that was just right there? Okay.
And we're in the now, man.
Eckhart Tolle told me to stay in the now, Richard, and not focus on the past or things that will come, just to find the inner peace within me. And that I am right, and my opinions are right.
Wow. As always.
Dr. Phil.
So let's talk about the now. I mean, I don't know what happened there with NiP. I mean, especially on Dust 2. At one point, look, things were going good guns. Then that second half, I mean, there were some moments that were absolutely atrocious. There was no getting away from that fact. I mean, we asked the question before that game, is Arlu the answer? I mean, I don't even know what the question is going back to that. It seems to have completely changed because there were some fundamental errors that weren't there in the later stages of Katowice. It's almost like they've reset since they come to this tournament, like real basic stuff. I mean, that round, just right at the end there, where there was, Happy's kind of peeking out with the tunnel, NiP have a perfect crossfire, there's no way that Happy should be able to get the first kill. But if he does, then the other guy's got to come around and mop up both. And then Envyus get both the kills.
MBK comes in and gets the other one.
Absolutely, just that is basic errors, and I don't think that can be legislated for, and therefore my prediction was invalid. And
it happens.
I'm kind of right.
I was wrong too.
Well, here's the interesting thing.
We're going to roll some replays while we're talking.
Okay, so keep going. So the last 2 times they've played Dust 2 was almost identical to that. The first time, DreamHack Winter Final, was the same as that. They got 6 rounds CT first, then they just won 10 in a row on T side. At MLG in the final there, they got 6 rounds CT first and got 10, but this time they lost 1. So the exact same things happened 3 times in a row against NiP now, which is that Envy has a reasonably weak CT side, but then an amazing terrorist side that's just unbeatable. Like, they can't lose in that fashion. And that's part of the reason why. What's funny is on their other maps, part of the reason why sometimes they're not that great on T side is they tend to just walk everywhere. They have these sick aimers, so they just walk in and try and take a 1v1 duel. On the other maps, it doesn't work that well, actually. On Inferno, they can often be a bit lackluster, but on Dust 2, somehow, it's amazing. Like the round he was describing there when they had the crossfire at B, the only way you could get through that round without dying is if you perfectly walked in and were looking at the right angle at the right time. Anything goes wrong there, you at least lose a guy, even if you get the kills, They didn't at all. And then this Inferno game was just dominant. Yeah. Like, this was very impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, rewinding back to the Inferno, I mean, this was the first game, it feels like another lifetime ago, a lifetime when I had a chance of being right. Envyus were just unbelievably, dominant on this map, and, we asked questions about whether NiP were going to be able to do anything on Inferno, but I think the general consensus is actually this is a map that NiP want to avoid this tournament because clearly whatever they've got going on with a new player in the team, they haven't actually got a very good tactical sort of setup for this. I mean, their retakes were weak, they're holding the bomb sites defensively were weak, their aggressive play, you know, we barely saw you know, any of it. It wasn't particularly great either. So I mean, I got to say, on Dust 2, you think it resets itself, and you know, how can history repeat itself? How can the French guys continually put out these super strong terrorist sides? Because it was unbelievable. They had crossfires on Happy. That no scope headshot he got when Exist is just running itself. That you've got to make that kill 99 times out of 100. You know, 100 times out of 100. But Happy, I can't believe can we. Is there any chance of playing that again? Because I didn't want to talk gibberish over that. That was sick. Even I.
Yeah, that Happy.
Did he just?
Can they re-rack that? Yeah.
Yeah, let's re-rack that one.
That's worth seeing in slow-mo.
This is actually the moment of silence for NiP's. For NiP having any chance of winning it when Happy makes that triple kill with a pistol. Absolutely just ridiculous. So I'm hoping it's probably.
In many ways, Happy was put on the spot, sort of like the production team is right now by you demanding that they replace something.
As a production guy,
when
we
that's
hate
not
that.
the process we have.
We don't interact with you.
Here we go.
Right.
See, he's up all night to get some. He's up all night for good fun.
Yeah. Okay, kill the first guy, okay, because you're in that position behind the box. Maybe the second guy, but also the third guy, that's just insane. I mean,
we highlighted Happy at the start of the game and talked about how important he was to Envyus for a reason. That's the reason. He's an in-game leader that can call on the fly. I mean, he's not like a playbook in-game leader. He doesn't just make the strats and then say, no matter what happens, we're going to stick to those strats. He calls on the fly. He reads the game. So you think, brilliant. That then, surely because he can do all that, he's actually going to be really, really weak at getting frags. Nope. This guy is the complete package. He's like a rounded player with a brain and aim. So if anything goes wrong for him, that's when Envyus starts falling down. But Happy absolutely knocked it out of the park today. I mean, serious, like what a great performance against NiP that he's had in that game. And again, when he's on song and feeling good and making the calls, everyone else on the team shines. Yeah. So just kind
of takes the pressure off, right?
Yeah, I mean,
he's doing his thing.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you don't even mind being wrong with the prediction because hands down, Envyus schooled NiP there on both of those maps.
Which leads to an interesting topic, which is we mentioned on paper these are the two best teams in the tournament. The way the format is, there's a chance they could meet in the final. That's where they would meet next. So if they were to meet, the problems now are all the questions that it poses for NiP, because NiP maybe thought in Katowice, okay, we've figured Envy out, right? We know what maps we can play them on. So they were picking Dust 2, remember, in these series here. They won the one in Katowice, but now they've lost in the old fashion that they were losing Dust 2. Yeah. So can that be their pick? I don't know.
Yeah.
Envy, remember, picked Cash in Katowice, didn't work out. So they went back to Inferno, the map they used to lose to NiP, actually. But now they've won it comprehensively, and that used to be a strong map for Envy. So now presumably Envy feel like they've got answers that we can play Inferno again. They can have Dust 2 if they want. Now it would be a best of 5 if they met in the final. So that alone would add a little wrinkle. So very likely we'd see all these maps, Cash, Inferno, Dust 2. But what else do they go with at that point? Because at that point you're talking about who wants to play Cobblestone, or is Overpass going to be played? Because NiP in the past has banned that a lot. So I think NiP are the ones that if they get to play Envy again in this tournament, I've got lots of questions that they haven't got answers for at the moment.
Okay. Well, good wrap up to this. Do you have anything else to add?
No, no, absolutely.
So obviously NiP is not out of the tournament. Again, they're going to now take on Property. And obviously loser of that is done. Winner of that comes out second place in the group. Envy is done. They sit, they go back to sleeping or go back to their hotels. And the next match we're going to do is we're going to jump over to the other group and we're going to bring you guys Cloud9 and Virtus Pro, which again, we'll jump in depth, but they did meet in Poland. They play each other a lot. So again, this should be, on paper, a good solid match. I think the fact that Virtus Pro has a stand-in maybe helps Cloud9, but again, depending on how he plays, one never knows.
And remember, whoever wins this match not only gets to the playoffs, but they're certain to be on the other side of the bracket from Envy.
Yeah.
And so that's key if you want to try and make that final.
Crucial. So again, folks, we will be right back after a short break to start talking about that next map.
It's always that hold that they do on the camera.
Which one? So, welcome back, folks. Gfinity Spring Masters #1. Doing 4 more of these this year, I think. 3 or 4, we'll see. So, again, let's talk about, can the North American team get out of a group?
Okay. Stop waving that flag.
No,
come on, old
I'm
man.
asking it. I'm
Stop living in the past.
I know. Okay. Wave the flag. These teams have met a lot. They met in Poland. Virtus Pro with a narrow victory. I want to say we just talked about it. It was on Inferno 16-11 in the groups.
Yep.
Again, the best of 1 situation. But again, now best of 3. We're waiting for the vetoes. But let's kind of, again, let's put your fortune-telling hat on. And what do you think is going to happen?
Well, the key difference here, obviously, is the standing. That's the big factor here, because Virtus Pro previously, and in fact, as far as I know, all the times they've ever played against Cloud9, like at Face It and ESWC, that was always the real lineup there. It was the classic Virtus Pro, where they've got a lot of experience, and that's one of the keys of Virtus Pro, is they have really good, like, natural chemistry with each other, the way they play off each other. So that's disrupted a little bit, surely bringing in Michu, like a guy who's just has to stand in last minute. With that said, yes, Cloud9 looked like good against Orbit, but they still did lose a map to Orbit, and some of their players didn't play very well in that map, so I haven't seen enough from Cloud9 to make me think that they'll like convincingly win this. I think it'll be much closer because of the standing factor. So I think Cloud9 can win a map, but I would take Virtus Pro to win this.
Regardless of maps.
I'm pretty sure, but just thinking of the maps that are going to come up. In fact, actually, the thing is they share similar map pools, because Inferno Cache are the maps that Cloud9 like to play. Well, Virtus Pro love those maps, and then I'd assume Cloud9 want to stay away from Mirage, which is a very famous Virtus Pro map, but then what does that leave as the 3rd map? Because, okay, Virtus Pro have been playing a bit of Nuke recently. Would they gamble Nuke staying in? Virtus Pro probably don't want to play Overpass in light of being upset on it not that long ago, so losing the keyed stars on it. So that's making me think Cobblestone potentially, because actually Virtus Pro were one of the teams who like to play Cobblestone in Katowice. So it's the 3rd map that's the most interesting, the potential there. Because remember, for people who have only watched the majors, in the majors the 3rd map is randomly selected from the 3 that are remaining, whereas here we pick and ban all the way down, and then the 3rd map is there, you know. So in theory, you can have 3 maps, as long as the teams have shared map pools, the 3 maps that they all like. So I think it leads to more competitive 3rd maps.
I mean, it's a very interesting one. Virtus Pro are a team that are all over the place anyway, in terms of you don't really know what you're going to get from tournament to tournament. Very interesting dynamic would be a way of putting it nicely internally in the team. Some people, don't get along with others at certain times. They can be very tense. They're the only team I've seen quite on the regularly sort of have arguments 1 minute, and then the next minute it's all smiles and laughter. Very hard to keep.
Yeah, and like years ago, like back in the day, right? They would fight each other. They would Taz and those guys would go. They would literally go at it.
I mean, they're warriors.
Exactly.
In every sense. But what I find interesting at the moment is now. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Duncan. You'll probably know. And haven't they changed callers recently?
I wanted to bring that up because they've gone through several different strat callers.
So is Neo the current caller in the team?
As far as I know, he is at the moment. Yeah.
No, this is what I always find interesting about Virtus Pro. It seems to be like there's always this battle for supremacy, this battle for like who is the leader of the team. And sometimes Snacks is calling, sometimes it's Taz, sometimes it's Neo. I don't think Pasha has ever had a go.
No.
But who knows? Maybe that's coming next. But the point is, it's almost like, who's got the better ideas? And for they argue about it, and then it's almost like, okay, well, you do it then. Yeah. And when that happens, then you've got your little moment to kind of prove to people. But it's never really stuck. People always, say, that it was good, but we can be better. So let's go back to Taz. Let's go back to Snacks. So now Neo's kind of in the driving seat. So I'm very intrigued by that. Switching a caller, coming into any tournament. It can go either way. It can be brilliant, it might not be. Yeah. Neo's done that role in the past. He's super intelligent, the greatest 1.6 player of all time in many people's eyes. So he's got the experience and the game knowledge. On top of that, you've got to stand in, a factor into the team. And Michu, even though he's played with these guys before, I know for a fact that he looks at that other 4, the team dynamic, the argument, the roller coaster, the Bialy, who's like very passionate, very hot-tempered, regularly punches tables and cuts his hands open, seen him do it numerous times, super aggressive, arguing with, other guys in the team. Taz and Pasha will have a bit of a back and forth. He's kind of just watching that thinking, man, how do I get myself into this? Like, is it worth it? So that can be a factor for Virtus Pro as well. So I think they're an impossible team to predict. It's almost like the maps are irrelevant in a way, Duncan. It's more about the sort of psychology and the cohesion within the team from tournament to tournament, because they're capable of beating anyone on their day on any map.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be impossible to predict what they're going to do. Cloud9, on the other hand, this is the time you want to be playing Virtus Pro. I know historically they've not had a particularly great record against them, but they do always have exciting games. This is the time that Cloud9 can probably get a win. You know, this is as good as it's going to get for Cloud9 and indeed a North American team at the moment against the likes of Virtus Pro.
And again, like, it's not an easy road for sure for them.
Oh, no, not at all.
Here comes our picks and bans. I'll take those.
It's happening. Thank you.
Let's see what we got.
Interestingly, Scott, the last time a North American team won a best-of-3 at an international tournament was actually iBuyPower all the way back in the semi-final of Face It Season 2 LAN, which is in like October, I think, of 2014. So it's been a while. So that alone would be a huge result if Cloud9 could pull off the upset here and get the win. The thing is, I think it's less on Cloud9 how they play. I have an idea of how that'll be, and more how close is Virtus Pro to the Virtus Pro we know. If they're going to be a bit shaky, then hey, maps are up in the air, then it's going to be a shared map pool.
Yeah.
That's good for Cloud9. But if Virtus Pro, if the other 4 players play to the level I know they're capable of, it should be a comfortable win.
And that brings up an interesting, and again, I know that they have a stand-in here, so it does change, the dynamic this weekend. But, Virtus Pro, you say it often, it's pretty much undeniable. They were the most consistent Counter-Strike team of 2014.
Yeah.
Just steady as a rock, right?
They had the most top 4s of any team in the whole year. So more than Fnatic, more than LDLC, more than NiP. Everyone, they would just always be top 4. But with that said, top 4 all those, I think they were top 4 something like 9 or 10 times. Only won 2 times.
Yeah.
So
and this is actually one of the events they won, Gfinity.
But what that tells you though is it's not that they're failing every time. It's that their level is very, very high, because even their bad days were top 4 finishes. But they also couldn't get that perfect day very often. That was a rarity for the great day to come together. With that said, that's later in tournaments. That's when you're playing the Fanatics of the world, NiP, Envy, against teams like Cloud9. That's why they were getting top 4s. They would take care of those teams. They would take care of business there. They would beat all the... In fact, they were famous for beating all the lower teams. Like, wherever they were ranked, like 3rd, 4th in the world, everyone below them they would routinely beat, but they'd lose to everyone above them. That was the thing.
So what do you think about the shift in that? They've been a little bit more inconsistent, if you will, with the results in 2015. Do you think it's just a matter of everyone's kind of settling in and getting to know each other a little better as opponents?
They're struggling to get that momentum, Scott. That's what it... Right. Everybody knows the term, Virtus Plow. That was
we
the
haven't seen that
in 2015. And literally what would happen is they would build that momentum and they would hurtle through games, and it was when, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. That's when they would lose, when they just literally played a better, a better team at that particular moment in time, and that momentum had stopped. And they haven't even really been able to get that momentum building through tournaments yet. They kind of seem very... I don't know. Like you say, the people that beat Virtus Pro aren't even necessarily their opponents a lot of the time. It's themselves. They always seem to be focused on the minutiae of these like little internal battles. Like, for example, Taz has said, well, I called this and Pasha didn't listen, so he died at main and we lost that round. And they maybe, they're not bickering about it maybe, but they think about it for 2-3 rounds, what would have happened, and it puts them on tilt. And then they come out of a game and then they'll be talking to each other and raging at each other. Why didn't you do that thing, right? Yeah. And then it creates this tension, this extra level of, problematic things within the team. So this is Virtus Pro's problem in 2015, that they are really getting hung up on those little individual errors, and people in the team are calling each other out about those little errors.
Yep. All right, so here we go. I'll give you the bans first. So Virtus Pro banned Cash and Mirage. No, I'm sorry.
This can't be right.
Yeah, Cash and Dust 2. I bet it wrong. Cash and Dust 2 get banned by Virtus Pro. C9, Cloud9, gets rid of Nuke. I'm sorry. Jesus. Sorry, my bad. This is really hard to read.
Reading glasses?
No, it's just it's kind of scribbly. Overpass got kicked out, and Mirage. So we end up with first map, Virtus Pro pick Cobblestone. Second map, Cloud9's pick Nuke.
And for another decider?
And for another decider.
Okay. So the interesting one there is Nuke, because here's the weird thing about Virtus Pro, is that for a long time that was their permanent ban. When there was only 5 maps, they never played Nuke. They had always banned it, partly because NiP was the best on Nuke, and NiP was their main rival, and so they're just not going to play the team on a much better map. But they're one of the few teams who perma-banned Nuke, who then started to bring it in and started to get wins on it as well. Like, they actually were able to win over some good teams on that map. They beat Titan at the last Gfinity. Yeah.
One of the best comebacks of all time in CSGO history, that game.
And so, they've had wins on it. They beat Navi on it heavily, who's another NiP permaban, Nuke permaban team in the group stage of DreamHack Winter 2014. So they've been playing it more. They're willing to play it. But Cloud9, that's been historically one of their best maps. And that was the map that at MLGX games, they actually beat NiP on. They actually were able to beat NiP on, shockingly, big upset win. Nothing had a huge CT half in that game. That was also one of the best games of his career. So actually, I feel like Nuke, on paper, you'd think it overwhelmingly favors Cloud9. I think that's more of a 50-50, actually. I think Nuke there. The first map was what?
First map is Cobblestone.
Okay, from the fact that Virtus Pro are playing it, everyone's been saying they're the best on Cobblestone.
Yeah.
So I'm going to figure that's going to favor them. So I think, to me, the decider's Nuke. Because I feel like if it gets to Inferno, I think Virtus Pro is going to win that. I think Virtus Pro will win Cobblestone, so what will happen on Nuke? That's what I'm wondering. And I think Cloud9 has a chance to win Nuke. So I'll make my prediction. Actually, I'll go ahead and I'll give them a win on that. I'll give them a map win score. I'll say that Virtus Pro will win 2-1, but Cloud9 will take Nuke.
Okay. So I asked you some, questions in regards to the Virtus Pro roster. Let's kind of go to the opposite team. Let's talk about Cloud9. They obviously Hiko out, Shazam in.
And the big problem with that move is it set off this power dynamic in the team where it didn't make sense anymore, because Hiko was like not only their best player at a point in time, but he was consistently good in that sense. So it made it, you understood. It's like, okay, Titan right now, where Kenny S is amazing and Apex is clearly the second best player. There's a strict hierarchy where you know when you lose. You could even just look at the frags almost and see, oh, well, we didn't get enough from Apex here. Kenny S had enough here. Or Maniac, like, okay, he had some frags, but that's not the guy we needed to get them. It's a very understood hierarchy of who needs to do what. In Cloud9 right now, they needed Shazam to come in and just blow the doors off, be amazing, and he hasn't done that. He's okay. He gets some AWP kills, but he's not a lockdown CT AWP. He's not an amazing AWP who gets tons of frags. He just gets a few kills and contributes. So they're kind of lacking a bit of that fragging power. And Shroud's still good, but at the moment, he's needed to be like the superstar. So it comes down to nothing again, which is the old history of their team. Now, today he looked amazing. He was incredible. But actually, that guy very rarely shows up. He shows up for a map every now and then. And so their problem is they don't have that consistent either superstar or like second fragger, and it's between Nothing and Shazam who can do it in each match, and sometimes neither does it. So that's my problem for them, is I feel like they don't have enough firepower.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Duncan's really identified the issues. I mean, when Shroud first came into the team and he was just this pickup player and everyone was like, oh my God, how's this kid going to do? He's had one international LAN, obviously domestically. I think it was ESEA was his first before he went to a major in Cologne, and he was like one of the talking points about that event. He was absolutely sick, and we were like, NA have got a gem here. This is like, along with, rest in peace, Skadoodle,
No, he's still right.
Yeah.
He didn't get banned.
Sorry, no,
you're thinking of Swag.
Swag,
my bad. Well, rest in peace, both of them probably, because you haven't heard from either since. But the point is that, Shroud was like this absolute, superstar, like you say. He was going to be the great hope for the NA scene. And then he's kind of fell off a little bit and become a bit average by, the high standards he set himself from his first event in the spotlight. Absolutely right about Shazam, by the way, who should have come in. At the time they picked him up, I was like, this guy's going to be great, because the only problem with Shazam was he had all this like controversy following around. It just dogged him his entire career. You felt he couldn't focus. He was in with teams that were like around for like one tournament, playing in mixes, playing with guys like Mo and stuff like that. And you're like, well, this is the ideal move for him. He goes to professional organisation. He gets good players around him, structure. Now he can concentrate just on his game. So he's going to be amazing. But in actual fact, that hasn't happened. He's really struggled to find his form. And then on top of that, like you say, when you're relying on the old man of the team, like Nothing to turn up, which happens maybe one game in 10, this is an ongoing problem. Now, encouraging things for your boys are that nothing has turned up this tournament. Probably he's the top like fragger, you know, overall by some distance in his team. You know, will be up there in the frag charts overall for the tournament. Can he keep that going throughout the tournament?
Yeah, it's like you said, inconsistency with Jordan. He has an amazing game, and then he doesn't show up. Then he has an amazing, and he needs to be consistent.
In a nutshell, you know, the problem Jordan has is pretty much the problem that Cloud9 has. It's when one person shows up, the other four don't. When they find a consistent level, there is no breakout star. They can win games against you know, good teams, and then they lose to like nobodies. You know, the consistency in Cloud9 is their inconsistency, and this is why again, like I say, the planets are aligning for them here to do the unthinkable, to do what iBuyPower did all that time ago, to represent an A. You're never going to get a better chance to beat Virtus Pro at a tournament. But you know, I agree with Duncan. I got to question their ability to do it because all evidence points to the contrary.
And so another question.
Just as a quick point on that as well, to me, it's really, I don't blame nothing because he's a known quantity now. We know, listen, you remember when you were managing EG, you always hoped he'd come out with the crazy whole series. Yep. He could do it for a half, maybe he'd give you a map sometimes, but he never was going to be like a Forest, you know, and just dominate the game. So we kind of know he's not going to do it. Like, yeah, he'll do it every now and then, but we know history tells us we've played that scenario out. It's Shazam who's the real, at the moment, the letdown, because the problem with Shazam is when he was in those lesser teams, first of all, he was like really cocky, he was a trash talker. He was one of those guys where they could always rest on the fact that like, oh, well, I'm really good, but you know, my team's not so good. And if I was in your team, I'd be dumpstering everyone. Well, now you get the chance. And what you often find with some of those guys where there's a bit of bravado there is actually it's just like a fake front. Like they look a bit shook when they get put in the big game.
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of see from him.
It's like being the high school superstar and going to college and like...
Well, I just wonder though as well, like maybe Cloud9 have tried because they've been worried about that controversy and community backlash and community perceptions. Maybe they have put him in a box. You know, maybe it's like June, you know, the sleeper must awaken, right? You know, I think, you know, if you're hammering someone constantly about don't have that bravado, don't have that bluster, don't trash talk, don't do all the things you need to psychologically put yourself in a position where you can dumpster somebody because you've got that self-belief. Perhaps that has taken a little bit of edge off his game, this almost like focusing on being Mr. Professional, Mr. Cool-headed, Mr. Level. That's not what Shazam's about. Shazam was an amazing AWP and a hype player. He would, you know, get an ace and stand up and be like, you know, what up now? You know, like, you know, Shagwar style.
Absolutely, and that drives him, like you're saying, that feeds him.
It drives him, and I think the teams he's been in feed off that as well. Now, he can't do that in Cloud9 because that isn't sort of the Cloud9 way. So it's, again, what's his plan B? At the moment, he doesn't have one. He needs to find one, or Cloud9 need to say, do you know what? Get in their face, do your thing, and let's see if it works out for us. Let's see if we can play around you.
I also wouldn't recommend he goes full Shagwar and stands up and is like, what up?
What now, Pro?
Stands up and say, what up now, Pauls? I tried that once.
Yeah, that didn't work for you.
It doesn't always work out. They don't appreciate that trash talk the same way, you know. Swedes can take it a bit easier there, I think.
And obviously, you know, we've seen over the years that generally when a Counter-Strike team or a core of a team stays consistent, they'll generally do better. You swap a player out here and there. And the core of this team, going on about a year and a half of play.
Since the old complexity days.
You know, and obviously, and Hiko's a recent departure even, but they have never achieved greatness in Europe at all, right? No. So there is talk, you know, Jordan mentioned that they're chit-chatting about actually moving over here. I don't know how real that is, how off the cuff that was.
It's very real. It's very
okay.
Real. It's very real.
So do they backtrack a little bit? Hiko left the team because he wanted a different, you know, and there's two sides to every story probably, but Hiko's kind of the side of it is that he approached these guys, said, I am driven to win. I don't feel the rest of this roster is. I want some changes. I would like to play with some different players. And they basically, you know, he lost that debate, that argument, and they said, no, we're staying together. I guess you're probably leaving then. And he did. Poor guy, has nowhere to play yet. But, you know, as an organization, do you, like, how do you, like, what does Jack and crew do? Do you keep the four and find that new guy, Shazam, or, you know, do you go to this most consistent player, Hiko, and go, man, maybe he has a point, maybe we need to build around him. You know, for years in the EG days, we did kind of build around Jordan as our little franchise guy, right? And that pissed off guys like Fraud, who in his own right was a franchise guy, but you know, Jordan was the up-and-comer. So does moving to Europe solve the problem with these five guys, or do they really need roster changes?
Whether it solves the problem, like whether they become world class, I don't know that, but it would definitely solve the problem of like, can they ever be?
Yeah.
Because if you put them in that situation, give them every possible benefit, I think that would be great organizationally. Because if you then found that they couldn't get past this sort of level and they were still stuck at like the 5th to 8th level, then right, either I just accept this and I go, these are marketable guys, like I like them, they're friendly and stuff, like the League of Legends team is, or you say, yeah, I'm going for the World Championship only. In that case, you have to chop and change. You have to go organizationally because as a core, they've shown they will not do that. They have shown a refusal to cut players who are playing bad, because if they get along with them and they like the chemistry, they value that more. So I think it would actually answer a lot of problems for everyone involved. Now, whether or not it'll actually make them a great team, I'm kind of skeptical of that, because I think it goes beyond just like poor practice.
Yeah, and
stuff.
we've always said if you come over here and you spend a lot of time, not just a week boot camp, but if you literally embed into the European scene and play these teams on a regular basis, you just inherently do get better because you get to know them better, and that's who you come play for the big tournaments.
Let's not forget there's always going to be stylistic differences between NA and EU and how they approach certain things. You know, we talked to Sean yesterday when he was saying he was listening to the other in-game, POV recordings from Katowice, and he was like, our team doesn't communicate like the Euros do, and they're starting to realize that actually maybe there is something that we're doing that the Euros are doing better that we can copy. So move to Europe is going to absolutely help them. There is absolutely no doubt about it. It's a very real thing. I know Jack's super serious about it.
Okay.
I think they should do it. And just one quick point, because I know we're probably got to get going.
We're good right now.
Look, Cloud9 are a familial organization. They are not ruthless. They are not all about success. They in all games that they cover.
Well, that's kind of what I was touching on with the League of Legends thing, which I assume you're going to talk about now, which is that as an organization, they don't have the president to cut people just because they didn't win.
Yeah. That's not how they do things. Like, success is not the driving force. You know, they want, like you say, sure, marketable guys having that presence, but they believe that all bumps in the road can be overcome together as a unit. That is the ethos that Jack instills in every team captain. That is how he likes to do things. Now, it's very interesting because Cloud9 are having another floundering season in League of Legends. There's talk about them cutting a player there in the form of High at the end of the split and bringing in a star player. And I'm just wondering now that, have Cloud9 plateaued as an organization, and are they going to have to go another route? Whether that'll affect and impact the way they think about the CS team, I don't know. But put it this way, if they do move to Europe and they get that level of investment, because that is a huge investment to take an American team, get a team house in Europe and have them practicing and attending events full-time, every European event going, that's a huge investment. Surely at that point, you can only say, we can only realistically give you a limited amount of time to start showing clear signs of improvement and actually start competing.
Yeah.
So I think that perhaps they do need to light a fire under the players and apply a bit more pressure. I think being number one in NA, because it's so easy for Cloud9 to realistically achieve in what is a developing scene now, and ultimately with the removal of iBuyPower, I think they're still safe at number one for quite some time. I think that's given them a little bit of complacency, and I think a move to Europe might just kickstart their motivational drives. We'll see who wants to win, who wants to develop, who wants to step up if they do come to Europe.
And of course, you're right. Very expensive spend for Jack and crew. But same token, once you get them over here, you save thousands of dollars in travel expenses every event because they spend more money to come to Europe.
I've got an idea for you, Scott.
And CVOs.
Here's another thing. If you come to Europe, one of the problems they had in the past was they were right. Certain times in the past, it was hard to know who the talent was in NA. And even if they had talent, you never knew if they would be good in your team because they didn't have experience. So if you come to Europe and you set up the house and people have been there, the core of the team's been in that Europe and you're already there, then at this point in time, why not maybe try an international player? Like, hey, if Shazam doesn't work out, Makaleli's sat there waiting for a top team to play in. I'm sure he can speak a little bit of English and just frag people, if that's all you want him to do. Scream's out there looking for a team. Like, I mean, not as good English in that particular sense, but he can say my friends and kill people.
A wide door of roster choice.
Yeah.
Because we did the opposite. Like, we brought
a real move that you could do.
And of course, as a flag waving Frenchie yourself, I mean, you would probably say that's what Cloud9 need. They need more French in the team, obviously, to win.
Well, you can always have more French in your life, Richard.
Oh, boy. So Cloud9, obviously, they're not new to Counter-Strike Go, but they come from another game. And, we've talked about, we've seen this influx of non-endemic Counter-Strike organizations, if you will, embracing our new game because the numbers are good. TSM, CLG, Envyus, a Call of Duty console team. Thoughts on that? Especially you coming from the league side because you know these organizations really well.
Well, the key thing about those organizations is a lot of them actually rejected all games. Because obviously the obvious one was, the second biggest game was a game called Dota 2, which was, had its similarities to League of Legends. Yet bizarrely, they weren't interested in getting a team in that game. It's almost as though someone was exerting some sort of pressure.
Who would do such a thing?
I don't know.
I would cause a riot, though, if someone exerted that kind of pressure.
Anyway, I just imagine sort of like a red oppressive fist was holding them down. So anyway...
All right, that's a good one, too.
That was stronger that time, guys.
That was good. We worked on that one.
That wasn't actually the slap of palms. That was your wrist going. Right?
But that's the thing about these organizations, though, is that they actually showed a reluctance to get into it.
Yeah.
But I know all these... North America has always embraced Counter-Strike. It's always been a game that they love to watch. Yeah. And so even the people in those other games, I know a lot of League of Legends pros who play CSGO for fun in pogs or matchmaking or whatever. So I know they were all primed and they were getting hyped that CS was getting bigger. And so now you're seeing that not only did one get in, almost every big org got in. In fact, what's funny is the original big org in North America for League of Legends, Counter-Strike obviously was Evil Geniuses for a long time. In all those, they're the only ones that aren't in at the moment.
And Complexity, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, big orgs, Scott. You know.
Well, I mean, okay.
I mean, yeah, a long time ago.
In the
yeah.
day.
Listen, Scott,
and I didn't mention, but Team Liquid, obviously, not necessarily lead teaming now, but again, obviously, huge StarCraft presence moving forward.
I think one of the problems is when you come in as an organization and you've been a specialist in one game, like an Envyus, like a TSM, to organizations like this, and you've specialized in one field, and then you have to pick up a new game. You can look at results, you can meet players, you can get a vibe, you can get a feeling, but actually knowing what you need to do, knowing what environment you need to create to win specifically in this game, knowing what challenges you're going to face specifically for this game, huge learning curve for all of these guys. And frankly, I think it's shown with the kind of up and down results that we've seen from a lot of these new organizations. So far, I think Envyus have probably done the better out of all these organizations that have come in. But then again, they did pick up clearly the strongest team at that
and the European team.
Yeah, and the European team at that time. So obviously, that gives them a massive head start. But yeah, I think it is interesting to see these organizations come in. They are going to find that actually, for all the perceived simplicity about Counter-Strike, when it comes to actually running a successful team, the challenge is as vast and as difficult as you will find in any other area of esports, even with perhaps the more, again, perception, the more complicated, complicated games. So yeah, I think, they'll learn. Hopefully they'll start talking to other managers, more established people who've been doing it a while in Europe, pick up some of the lessons, because, I want a developed NA scene. The dirty secret of Europe is we used to look over across the Atlantic and we'd be like, man, why can't we play like those guys? Like everybody in Europe, all the frag movies we were brought up with was all like NA players, like all the ridiculous flamboyant, AWP in the Rambo style, just running around the corner and killing people. We us in Europe with our like tactical genius and our slow
players,
play, we were like, this works for us, but we'd love to be like the Americans. And sort of the Americans looked over and they were kind of idolizing some of the European players. So there's always been this rivalry and a contrasting style. Now at the moment, like NA's just gone to ground zero, man. Like, we're really seeing, like I say, a developing scene all over again.
Yeah, and again, like we've talked about in the past a lot, the other things that Valve is doing, like the sticker money, all these things that help support teams. That again, I don't want to call it free money because you got to earn your way to get the sticker, but once you get it, like that's great. That's great exposure. And again, you talk about a team like Keyed, right? That gets into the 8. So now they're legendary, so they'll be in the stickers and get invited to the next major, those kind of things. That probably helps maybe some of these newer, whether North American or not, because that's another sponsorship, if you will, that you don't have to go sell to somebody, right? You just gotta earn it.
Yeah, but I mean, before the problem always was nobody really wanted to invest. I mean, obviously, look, okay, so real talk, EG. If you were a sponsor in North America, why would you go with any other organization than EG? And that was a problem. EG had almost like a de facto monopoly because they were so good at what they did. It wasn't like they were out there viciously preventing people from having any business. It was just if you were a sponsor in North America, you'd be like, so I got this organization over here that are like internationally known, loads of options. They've got a very good Counter-Strike team. And then I got this guy over here who's basically begging for scraps and saying, please, please support my team. So you had one team. Now, because of the sheer size of the game, that's kickstarted actually this competition. Who can get the best team? What talent is there out there? Let's get some players to international events. Let's get them in those, get them out to the majors. Let's, try and get them in the sticker pools. And all of that is, like I say, it really has jump-started North America.
All right, guys, it sounds like they are ready to rock and roll for match 1. And this time it's going to be Kai Knight and Banks, and they're going to bring you the match. Take it away, gentlemen.
Thank you, Scoot, and welcome back, everybody. We're ready to get underway with Virtus Pro versus Cloud9. Now, we've got some very exciting maps to see from these guys. Cobblestone coming up first. Well, it got me looking excited. What about you, Kai?
Well, I'm really excited because we think back to Cobblestone. The main game that pops into my head is Cologne. A few months ago, rather, where C9 beat NiP on Nuke, and then obviously NiP beat them 16-14 on Inferno, and then it came down to that third and final map, which was really, really, really tense, and then NiP beat them on Cobblestone. Exactly. It was 16-14. So we know C9 are a strong Cobblestone team, but the fact, again, that C9 beat NiP on Nuke also tells us a lot about C9 themselves.
Yeah, I think Inferno, it's definitely going to be Inferno that comes down as the deciding map. And Nuke, C9, that's their map of choice at the moment. That's what they're going to be using going forward. Virtus Pro, a lot can be said about the team. Sometimes they just can't be consistent. They are a strong team. They have some fantastic players. We always see a lot of great action from Virtus Pro. But they also, on the flip side, sometimes just don't show up at all. You just see them missing shots, losing games that you wouldn't think. And you look at the games they played against Team Envyus yesterday. Most people thought they were going to go just win like 16-2, 16-4. End up being 16-10 both games, and you wouldn't say you'd expect that from a team of the caliber of Virtus Pro.
As well, like you said, the Virtus Pro can be inconsistent, and obviously the fact that they've now added Michu rather than Snax. Snax is such a crucial player for how Virtus Pro play. He's sort of their get-right, if you will. He has that lurker role, but look at this, good old Cobblestone jumping straight in there. What's your take on Cobblestone?
I really like it. It's starting to look a little bit more like
the original.
Yeah, like the original. We're going back to how it used to look, and I think it adds a lot of diversity, but I think there's still not many teams that are confident to constantly play it and pick it. But we are starting to see both Cobble and Overpass played a little bit more, and that's really good to see. It makes me happy.
Well, Virtus Pro actually surprised a lot of us at Katowice last week, where they actually ended up picking Cobblestone. I think it was up against Fnatic, where they just narrowly lost, and they looked really, really strong on that map. So alongside their Nuke, Cobblestone has definitely been a map that Virtus Pro have put a lot of time and effort into learning and improving on. Thorin actually touched on it, how the old Golden Five, when obviously Cuban and Lord were a part of Neo, Pasha and Taz, when they were playing together, in 1.6 they were incredibly strong on Nuke, and then because everyone sort of started vetoing Nuke at the start of CSGO, which is when NiP had their 87-0 streak, and NiP was so strong on Nuke that everyone would veto it, Virtus Pro sort of didn't practice it that much. But again, coming back to this current point in time where we're at right now, a few weeks ago in ESEA, we saw Virtus Pro play against Titan on Nuke, and Titan are an incredibly good Nuke side, and Virtus Pro beat them. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how Virtus Pro do on Nuke.
I think, coming back to the map we're going to see now, obviously Cobblestone, I think if Virtus Pro are on their game, they're definitely going to walk away with this, but I wouldn't count Cloud9 out. I wouldn't be confident saying that.
Nuke is one of Cloud9's best maps.
Yeah, but looking at Cobblestone, so focused on that for the moment. If nothing shows up, it's going to be hell for Virtus Pro. If he performs, the rest of the team of Cloud9 seem to pull it together, seem to play to their A game, play as expected, and I think it might not be such a whitewash for Virtus Pro. But obviously, as you're saying, we go on to Nuke as a second map. Virtus Pro, they're not weak on that, but seeing them pitch up against Cloud9, it could be a very different story.
Yeah, and just to touch on Nothing, which you mentioned, we saw him on Cash earlier on today, and he was phenomenal.
Oh, yeah.
He was honestly out of this world. I think
he racked up over nearly 100 kills between the 3 games.
I don't know, but
ridiculous.
on Cash, I think he 40-bombed on Cash. And the casters, I think Semler and Vendetta were looking at the scoreboard, and they were just astonished by how well he was playing. And in a weird way, he was almost like Nothing evolved back from CS 1.6.
Oh, yes.
He's come under a lot of scrutiny and a lot of pressure because a lot of people have been saying CSGO doesn't suit him. He hasn't really stood up to the task of CSGO. He doesn't. Some people even went as far as saying that he doesn't like CSGO. But hey, he's proving his haters wrong. And to be fully honest with you, C9 are a team who I'm sure all of the community love. And the truth is, we want to see them do well. But unfortunately, they did disappoint us at Katowice last week. But let's see whether they can win this pistol round and start this BO3 up against the Poles on a good note.
Oh yes, so Virtus Pro starting on the T side, Cloud9 on the CT side. And they are taking it a little bit slow here from Virtus Pro. We've got Michu coming out there, just hanging back a little bit. He's going to wait and see if he can pick off any of the Cloud9 players. And it's quite interesting. So we've got 3 pitched towards the A bomb site here for Cloud9, and we've got, I believe it was Shroud and Yeah, Shroud and Nothing to be. They're in a good position. They're going to have nice places for the flashes. Smokes go out. Very nice flash there came off from Nothing. They're going to make their way in. He tries to get the tag. Only manages to hit Pasha just a little bit there. Pasha does go down. He gets a second as well. Nicely done from Nothing. And this is the start they needed on the pistol side. And look at that from Sean. He gets one with the CZ75. Virtus.pro are falling apart here on the pistol round. Not a single member of Cloud9 went down. An absolutely fantastic start for the Americans.
Well, Nothing showing that he's definitely something with that hat-trick there in the pistol round. I've been waiting all weekend to use that one.
You love your good old puns. And Virtus.pro then is like almost a little bit too predictable for them. Fantastic positioning from Nothing and Cloud9 there on the B bomb site. And that flash that came off really kind of took Virtus.pro off guard. And they just got picked apart from there. Yeah,
but the pistols here in CSGO, you can't rule them out whatsoever. We've got 4 FAMASs for Cloud9, 1 M4 in the hands of Nothing, and, well, they could end up walking straight into Semphis. Great 1D coming out from Bayali, but Nothing gets the return frag, and Cloud9, they need to try and keep their distance here, especially up against the P250, which is a one-shot headshot when it is really up close and personal. Look at that, Sean Gares with the FAMAS kill at the window area. So let's wait and see how it's going to unfold. Don't count Virtus.pro out just yet.
No, they're taking their time still, and they could catch Cloud9 off guard. It's a one-man advantage for Cloud9 right now, and, well, we can see he's hanging back. They're not going too aggressive yet, and they just don't want to overcommit. They are looking towards the right direction, though, and Virtus.pro are taking their time ever so slowly right now. About 45 seconds left on the clock, and Nothing is going to see them first. Fires off a few bullets, couldn't get the kill, gets the first one onto Bayali, gets Michu as well. Will he get? No, Neo takes him down. Neo gets 2, but he's finally taken down. That'll be 2-0 for Cloud9. But not too bad from Virtus.pro to take down 3 CTs as well.
It wasn't too bad, but obviously when you lose your pistol, you should prioritize trying to get the bomb down in your second round, because if you get the bomb down and you end up losing that round, it gives you that small financial boost, and planting the bomb will allow you to buy up nice and early come the third round. But unfortunately, no bomb plants from the Poles, and Michu looks like he's going to lead the charge and the Stampede straight towards this B-bomb site. But they have slowed down, but it does look like they are going to throw all their eggs in one basket and head towards this B-bomb site.
Yep, they are getting ready for the B rush now. Shroud's going to spot him, tries to get off with a FAMAS, can't quite make the kill. Nothing gets the first one onto Taz. Nothing with a second, Nothing with a third. Fantastic word from Nothing. Gets one more. Oh, just taken down at the end there by Shroud. And, well, 3-0 for Cloud9. And they are just defending that bomb site completely well, but now it's all going to kick off with the guns in hand.
There must be something in the air here in London, which is honestly getting the best out of Nothing. I can't remember the last time we saw him play like this. He's got 9 frags already, and we're only 3 rounds in. That's awesome play from Jordan.
And you look, just what we were saying before, when Nothing's on form, the rest of his team step it up as well. He gives them that little confidence boost, and that's really what C9 need right now.
He's not just a physically strong player as well. They interviewed Semphis about it and interviewed Nothing about it as well. He's saying that he's the guy on TeamSpeak who always tries to hype them up, because as much as Counter-Strike is a physical game, it's a mental game. You can't let your head drop, you can't fall asleep, you've got to stay focused, and you need to cheer each other on when it's not going too wrong. But I'm sure they're buzzing right now, they're 3-0 up.
Yeah, he's bringing the motivation they need, but this is the all-important gun round right now, and it's going to be down to who makes the first move. We can see we've got Sean there with the Swag 7, just waiting patiently. Shedney goes up top, forces Taz back a bit. Semphis spamming through that smoke at middle. And see Pasha runs out there, spamming away as the flash came off, but no one's going to go down just yet. 40 seconds on the clock. There's not too much time left yet, and Virtus.pro really need to make their mind up where they want to go.
Yeah, we might see Taz try and execute a fake down Skyfall here, or no, Virtus.pro are actually going to rotate round towards this B-bomb site. 2 players outside of A, maybe waiting to lurk round. The 4th player for Virtus.pro is going to join the rest of his teammates, but they've got to be careful here. Shroud hiding just behind that box. He will get nailed in the head by Neo, and the charge continues towards this B-bomb site. Virtus.pro have got to hit this all together, but Nothing is doing the work. Superb play from Nothing and Semphis. And, well, Taz all by himself now, and he's got a heck of a load of work to try and do.
Yeah, he gets one, though, onto Semphis. Going to come around the side. The time's gone all the way out. Does manage to save his weapon, but he finishes all of Cloud9 off as well. nicely done to take the money out of their hands, but another round given to Cloud9 and nothing on absolute fire so far.
Yeah, very, very well played, especially on that B-bomb site as well. We saw in that second round where he even went over to the A-bomb site. Really, really versatile. He's changing his position round. He's keeping Virtus Pro guessing. He's got 11 frags already. But here we go. Big green gun in the hands of Shazam. And let's see what the Virtus Plow we're going to try and do to put an end to things. That Molotov that Taz is going to try and dodge the smoke from Shroud will put it out, and it looks like Banks, they're again going to try and infiltrate this B-bomb site, or are they? Are they going to rotate back? Let's wait and see.
Virtus Pro right now playing very slow, and well, Cloud9, they're going to be able to push this timer all the time because they invest in these Molotovs whenever they've got the money, and it's part of their tactics. Pretty much most times you see them play, and it's going to work fantastically against a team like Virtus Pro when they're taking it this slow.
Yeah, we haven't really seen too many teams, even though CSGO's been around for so long, we haven't really seen too many teams try and utilize Molotovs correctly, but Virtus Pro definitely are one of them. Sean Gares will get the headshot onto Bayali. Shroud hiding in the corner with his 5-7, fails to capitalize, and let's see whether Cloud9 can terminate the incoming attack from the Poles.
Shazam's really going to have to hit some shots with the AWP, but he's taken down by Pasha. This could be the round for Virtus Pro. 3 versus 2. Mishu gone to Sean, and it's going to be all up to Semphis right now. The bomb is going to be planted. Pasha's got the bomb down. 2 versus 1. Taz and Pasha take on Semphis. He's got to play this smart if he wants to pull off this round. It's not going to be easy. He's waiting just around the corner. Semphis fires off against one, but Pasha comes round to finish it off, and Virtus Pro finally get a round on the board, which they well and truly needed.
Yep, and Cloud9 now, they lost 2 rounds in a row, and that's the thing about the CT economy. It's so much more expensive than the T side, and you lose 1 too many rounds, even after winning the pistol and stuff, and before you know it, you find yourself on an eco. So here we go, 4-1 the score. If you've just tuned in, this is the Gfinity Masters. My name is Kyanite, alongside me is Banks, and this is the first map of the best of 3. And the second map will be Nuke, and should we require it, the third map will be Inferno. So 5 AKs for Virtus Pro.
Yeah, Virtus Pro going for a bit of a faster tactic this time around. They know the CTs are going to be on eco, heading towards this A-bomb site, completely infiltrated right now. They've just got to be careful they don't get caught off guard by the CTs. Neo opens up first, on to nothing. And now Semphis is going to be trailing from behind. Taz does manage to take him out. They're keeping their distance still, and well, Virtus Pro nicely spread out, and this is going to work in their favor. Bombs down, and they should be able to clear up the final 2 CTs, who are probably just going to go and try and get a couple of weapons right now.
Yeah, exactly. No armor on them. They're just going to try and see if they can get a few exit frags, particularly with those P250s. And hey, if they manage to pick up an AK and salvage it, good for them. If they don't, then it was an eco round anyways. So they won't be too downhearted by losing it. But they're still going to have to step it up, Cloud9 on their proper gun rounds to stop the Virtus Plow in its tracks. Shroud has been spotted, and he will get wall-banged by Michu. Of course, Michu, who plays for InShock, probably the 3rd best CSGO Polish team at the moment.
And the thing here that Cloud9's got to be wary of is they don't want Virtus Pro to get their momentum. If they get that, they start building up. You get Taz screaming and shouting in there, building their confidence. It's going to be really difficult for Cloud9, and we can see already we've got 3 Famases for Cloud9, and I'm not a fan of that choice at all.
Well, that's the thing about Virtus Pro. They have so many great characters in their side, and that's what you need. You need a lot of character to, when it looks like you're down and out, when you're 4-1 down on a CT-sided map like Cobblestone, you need players with character like Taz, players with experience who will help everyone else step it up, and let's see whether that experience is going to be shown as Taz slowly creeps towards Skyfall. He's got his comrades in battle to the bottom left of him, but the bomb has still been left outside of A here, so let's not jump to any conclusions just yet.
Yeah, Virtus Pro aren't giving anything away right now. They're keeping it very slow and controlled, and I like this playstyle from Virtus Pro. They've just got to make it work for them consistently because, well, 2 rounds on the board, they need to keep this momentum, and well, they are going to jump down. It's going to be Taz, Neo, and Mishu. You can see they're just not fully committed on where they want to go just yet, but look where all the CTs are right now. Bart, Shazam, they are all in the B bomb site. They've got to be careful. Shazam gets the first kill onto Bialy with the FAMAS there, and well, put himself in a good position. Taz takes him down, Pasha onto nothing. Semphis does manage to take down Neo. 3 versus 3 right now, and oh, Virtus Pro unlucky there when Sean got the kills. He jumped up and It's going to go right down to the right here. Envyus does manage to get the bomb and Pasha. It's all up to Taz right now. Can he do it? Too much spray with that AK, and Envyus finishes him off. Cloud9 pick up another round, bringing it to 5-2.
So 5-2 now. Virtus Pro, they could force up the buy here. Pasha with 6.8k, but someone's going to have to drop to Michu, which again most likely will be Pasha. So we could see AKs all round. Perhaps there it is, AKs all round. So where are Virtus Pro going to head this time round? Cloud9, they are playing 3 players on the A bomb site and just putting 2 passive players playing from long distance on the B bomb site. This is the key thing about the B bomb site. There's this main choke point. It's so crucial as CTs to throw your Molotovs down, throw your defensive smokes down, but it looks like Virtus Pro are going to try and do what they did a few rounds ago and creep up mid, but they've got to be careful. Envyus is hiding in that corner.
Yeah, that looked very worrying. If Virtus Pro continued that, Envyus would have been all over them, but they've got the kill. They're falling back, and they're going to go and try and confuse Cloud9 a little bit here. Taz is making his way up a little bit further ahead of his team, and he's going to be checking every corner, seeing if he can pick up another Cloud9 player. Oh, and he's going to come around just at the right time. Taz gets 2 fantastic kills, opens up the bomb site for his team. That's exactly what they needed. Shazam's trying to put on the pressure. Pasha gets rid of Envyus. It's all up to Shazam. Taz comes around to finish him off. Oh, it was actually Bialy who picked up the kill, but that's another round on the board for Virtus Pro and a fantastic execution. Cloud9 really didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, it was brilliant play by Taz. The thing is, Cloud9 switched off. They were both focused on the same area, which they'd Molotoved and smoked out. Someone should have been focused on that lower area, and when you let a player of Taz's quality just creep down there and just see 2 CTs lined up in front of him, you can bet your life, you can bet your skins that he's going to hit those shots, and he definitely did. So it seems like we have a pause. And what have you thought of the match so far?
It's been pretty interesting, to be fair. I think Cloud9, they've started off well, but they're letting Virtus Pro get some of these rounds, and it seems like Virtus Pro are starting to work out what Cloud9 do. You can see it how they just managed to completely fake Cloud9 on that round. And, well, you look at, for example, the fact that I talked about the Molotovs that Cloud9 were always using. Once they were out the way, Virtus Pro managed to just walk into the B bomb site with no problems at all. They'd already been wasted at A, and that was easy for them to get in.
Yeah, they've sussed out Cloud9, like you said. They've just got to take their time, wait for Cloud9 to use all those defensive smokes and defensive Molotovs, wait for them to disappear, and then hit on. So here we go. By the sounds of things, we are probably live again. No, we're not live again. So,
they're just playing with their weapons in the
so
background.
I'll tell you what, let's forget about Cobblestone for now. Let's talk about Nuke. I mean, Nuke is being replaced by Train, apparently. Are we live? We're live. So